Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ReelTok Podcast, episode 125. That feels like a milestone. It's like not, but it feels like a milestone. 1 1/4, we'll call it. So yeah, happy to be here. I am Cam, alongside my lovely co-hosts Tyler and George. Mr. Seth's film reviews is in Sweden right now, I believe is where he is. He has not seen Ingmar Bergen yet, and I think he's very upset about that, but I hope he's having a fantastic time. I think he's with his father. It looks like he's having a good time from everything he sent us, but hope he's enjoying himself. We have a interesting episode this week. I mean, I feel like this January we've had a lot of packed episodes, and today's no different, but it's kind of a catch-up episode. We've got a bunch of movie reviews. Den of Thieves, Pantera probably being the biggest one. Better Man, unfortunately, a major flop, but we'll talk that. Wolfman, Presence, and then Tyler, I'm going to let you touch on Back in Action and how we're feeling about. What is it? Is Cameron Diaz's first movie in 12 years or something like that?
It's like 2014.
Yeah, so shout out her for coming back in action, as they say. But I'm guessing Tyler was not the biggest fan. We're also going to talk some Oscar nominations, emphasis on the ass for the Oscars, because we'll give our opinions on it here in the future. But as you can tell from the intro, probably not very high. And then we've got some movie news and trailers. I've broken down the movie news into MCU, DCU, Star Wars, miscellaneous slop, and then real movies. So we'll chug along through that.
You have slop underneath the real movies category.
No, I don't. Michael Jackson movie is
that's slop. That's for sure
slop, though.
100%.
It's not got a sequel yet. Michael Jackson 2 is slop.
Okay, fair.
That would be awesome. But yeah, we've got a big episode. Just want to say, first off, shout out all of the support that we've had on the most recent ReelTok Awards. It went fantastic. I think the audience themselves really enjoyed the production that Tyler and Mateo put on. So just thank you to everyone who watched that, who could possibly be new watching this episode. We got a ton of subscribers, probably our biggest episode in a long while. So really thankful for everyone that tuned into that. Shout out our executive producers. We added some this week. So of course, Stefan Johnson is on here. Shout out to him. He's always been a king. But now new executive producers, AJ Beasley, Devin Willett, and Alex Kephart. Thank you all for your support. We really, really appreciate your support of this podcast. We could not do it without you. And then shout out to all of our Patreon members as well. Again, it helps us entirely do this podcast. We really appreciate all of the support. If you're enjoying the episode, make sure to go subscribe, follow us on all social medias, obviously. But I think we have a fun episode here, kind of catching up on 2025 releases. And then we'll get back into some normal episodes going on to next week. A look ahead, we have a draft this week of, I believe it is actors we want playing us in a biopic. So that will release on Thursday. And then if you are a Patreon member, this week we're doing something a little different. Normally we have a movie review, which we'll get back to next week. But this Friday, we're going to do a fun letterboxd game that I've created. So if you enjoy watching our games as well, sometimes we try to switch it up on the Patreon as well. And so if you want to go check that out, go join the Patreon. Of course, we still have 20% off merch. Code is in description. Code is in the Patreon. So if you want to go get that 20% off code, you can go become a Patreon member. The merch store is back. We have some great stuff. I really enjoy, obviously, the Spider-Verse shirt is one of my favorites. Film Bro, just ReelTok logos in general. I'm a big fan of all of the stuff that we have. So thank you all for the support. We'll get into the episode now and stop my rambling. George, how was your week? What have you been watching?
Hello. My week has been good. I have been all over the place with watching. But my week, what did I do this week?
I don't know. I wasn't
Um,
there.
yeah, you weren't. I wish you were though. Probably would have been way sicker.
True.
Especially yeah. So like I said, Victoria was away this week, so I was by myself, chilling. Work's been like good. I've been, I've mentioned it to you guys over text. Work's kind of just like sucked the last couple of weeks. It's just been like overly busy, overly stressful. There were some less than optimal organizational changes at the end of the year last year that a lot of people are pissed off about or just not generally happy about, including myself. So it's been like a weird, like 3 weeks of work, just like settling into like just these new things going on that, I'm not too big of a fan of, but put that in the back. Work is work, whatever. Week wise, totally fine. Didn't really do much, didn't really get out. I had a couple of my college tennis friends come to the city last night. We just got dinner and hung out. Um, why do I feel like nothing? I saw Presents. That was the only time I got to the theater this week. And then yeah, kind of a boring week. I know like a lot of our patrons love our Yap sessions, and I wish I had more, but it was kind of a boring week for me. A lot of tennis, a lot of tennis. I'm washed. Tyler's the resident tennis lover now. This guy actually wakes up for late matches. I woke up for the women's final this morning at 3:30, and I was probably passed out on my couch by 3:45. Just really absolutely
I
washed.
watched more of it.
You know what makes it even worse? Did you actually watch it?
Yeah, because I woke up with Sutton and Tyler and I were texting at like 4 a.m., but I watched like 20 minutes of it.
Maybe that's the cheat code. Maybe I need a kid to keep me awake.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, what makes it even worse is last night before I went to bed, I set my alarm, and in my head I'm like, it'd be really fun if I woke up to watch this final and went live on TikTok while I did. And I was like so excited. I was like, let me get to bed. Let me get a good like 2 hours of Z's because I after dinner I ended up seeing some other college friends in the city. So I was like, I was awake pretty late. So I was like, let me get a quick 2.5 hours of sleep. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna go live. People are gonna be awake. My overseas fans will love it. They'll see George live at for them 9 a.m. And that didn't work out. I fell asleep almost immediately.
Did you get
Remember,
out of bed for it? Did you
no,
say?
well, I slept on the couch.
Oh,
Yeah, I slept on
goofy.
the couch because the TV is in my living room, and I was like, if I'm in my bed and the alarm goes off at 3:30, there's zero chance I get up. But at least if I'm on my couch, I could just turn over, grab the remote, turn the TV on, and still like lie down. And that was my problem is I turned the match on and I was still horizontal. So I was in prime sleep
Goofy.
position.
Yeah.
Yeah, terrible. So we're gonna try it again this morning or tomorrow morning for the men's final. I want to definitely be up for that one. Hopefully, it's like a 2:30 start instead of a 3:30 start. It's that the 3:30 a.m. Eastern time is just so trash. It's just like such bad timing for me. Um, Other than tennis, I started swimming this week. That's
Sure.
like
Cool.
that's like the new thing going on in my life, I guess. My sister and I, we both swam in high school. She was a little more competitive. She swam on like an actual like team outside of high school. I just did high school. But like recently, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago, she got back into swimming. So last week I got back into swimming. Um, it sucks. I mean, it's like awesome. Like I feel like shit in like a good way. Like you feel like shit in like a way where like when you like don't work out for a long time, or if you're just first working out, like you just feel really sore, but like it feels good sore because it's like, oh, I'm doing something right. That's how I feel about swimming right now. I'm so sore getting out of the pool. I've been just swimming laps for like 25 minutes to a half hour, which is nice for me because I don't play tennis as much anymore. I play tennis like once every 2 months, which fucking sucks. Um, so I've been looking for like new ways to like get cardio into my workouts. I'm not doing the treadmill. I'm sorry if you like the treadmill. It's just not my thing. It's so boring. I can't do it. I can't run stationary for 30 minutes to an hour. Stairmaster's fine, but like you get bored after like 25 flights, and like I don't want to just be walking upstairs. And it's too cold to run outside. It's too expensive to play tennis indoors in the city. So I was like, all right, let me get my Speedo, let me get my goggles and cap, and let me swim some laps. So that's been going well. It's been like a good form of like cardio. I've like dumbed down my like weightlifting. So I haven't been lifting like aggressively. Like my workouts are very quick. I'm very like I don't take a lot of breaks. I just kind of like run through my workout in like 35 minutes to 40 minutes. So I'm really not in the gym that long. But now it's like I'm running through them even quicker because I want to get to the pool. So I swam Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. Then before I swam, I probably worked out quickly for like a half hour and then swam. And it's great. It is great. It is really great. I feel great. I mean, I feel like shit and I'm very tired. But like it's like a you're doing something right kind of tired, which I don't know. That's just kind of what like I need right now with like my cardio, especially since I'm not playing tennis as often as I used to. Um, but that's it. What have I been watching? Yeah, that's really it on my week. Like I said, Victoria's been away. So I've just been kind of by myself, um, which is like cool for like one day. And then she was gone for the whole week. So like Monday night, Tuesday night, I'm just like sitting in my apartment. I'm like, damn, I wish I had someone to talk to right now. Like this is just boring. Um, how far back are we going? Because we didn't do what are we watching last week. So I'll start here. Yes. Okay, so the last time we did what are we watching, Seth and I spoke briefly about my Resident Evil binge. I ended up finishing, or I did not finish. I have one more. I ended up watching Resident Evil Afterlife and Resident Evil Retribution. So if you remember, Paul W.S. Anderson did the first Resident Evil movie. He didn't do two and three, and then he did four, five, and six. So the last time I spoke about it, I had watched one, two, and three. So I was very excited to get back into four, five, and six because that's the return of Paul W.S. Anderson. Um, not still not good. Afterlife and Retribution, those are the two I watched. But like you can tell, like Paul W.S. Anderson in these movies, like in his return to four and five, like he's good for like an additional like two or three cool scenes. But like the drop off from the first movie in this franchise is like alarming. It Everything after just feels so like uninspired. It's so like it feels like it feels like a college film student made this on like iMovie. Like it looks bad with the exception of like a few scenes. You don't really care, and maybe this is a me problem, but like I don't care about the characters. Really expect for Alice, the main character, Jovovich's character, or however you pronounce her last name. But like there's just nothing else to latch onto. Like none of the deaths feel emotional. None of the action sequences feel like grand or like none of them feel like they have a sense of urgency. It's like a very weird experience. And then this film does like such a bad job at like explaining the not explaining the lore, but like making its lore intriguing. Like you have this whole like monopolized industry that released the virus, blah blah blah. And like every movie they try to like dig deeper into that and like it just never works. It just never it feels so like someone just typed into Chat GPT, talk about a company that would end the world with a virus. And it's like it's a very uninspired experience. I have one more movie. I'm gonna finish it because at this point I'm five movies deep. I need to just get to the resolve. Um, but yeah, it has not been fun. Um, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army.
Good film.
Yeah, really good film. Sammy had watched it and logged it, and I was like, oh, you know what? I watched the first Hellboy a couple months ago. I've been meaning to watch the second, and then I saw Sammy's log, and I was like, okay, like that this is inspiring me to watch it. It's been on my radar for a while. I had seen it a long time ago, but this was the first rewatch in a while. Good film, really good film. Has like a very cool like aesthetic that I really like, and Guillermo del Toro is just he's having a ton of fun. He loves his magic. He loves his weird creatures. He loves being like very whimsical and grotesque at the same time. It's a very fun experience. And I've said this before, and I think we've said this on this podcast. Ron Perlman as Hellboy might be like right. He might be top three with like Hugh Jackman as Logan and Downey Jr. as Iron Man as just best comic book castings. He's so fucking good as Hellboy. It's so much fun. Um, I wish they like, I don't know if there was an intended trilogy or whatever, but I wish we got more movies with him in that role. I watched Dracula Untold, the one with Luke Evans from 2014, directed by Gary Shore, who, looking at his filmography, I don't know anything else he's done, so that information doesn't really help us out. Totally fine. I was in like a weird, like, I don't even know what you would call like these like dark, corny-ish gothic movies, but like I went on like a weird like binge with those. So Dracula Untold was one of my watches. Super fine. I gave it a 2.5. It's like it's designed really cool. Its production is really cool. I think Luke Evans is cool. But again, it's just like a very shallow retelling of Dracula. Um, but it has enough like, okay, that was a cool moment to like warrant, I think, like a 2.5, like a right down the middle. Den of Thieves and Wolfman and Presence, which we will obviously discuss. I talked about Resident Evil Retribution, Babylon AD with Vin Diesel. I don't know what I'm doing, man. I was watching some real crap this week. This one was bad. It's a movie about this mercenary who was hired to go overseas to bring this woman back to the States. But they live in like a, I guess, post-apocalyptic, like lawless world. So it was kind of just like a get from point A to point B and just like avoid the obstacles on the way. Which is just like the best way to describe it. And it's like a boring way to describe it, but it's a boring fucking movie. But Vin Diesel was actually not bad. It's very like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen like his Chronicles of Riddick movie or Pitch Black. It's just very much like that performance, just in another world. Michelle Yeoh was in the movie. I didn't know that. She appeared, and I was like, oh shit, okay, cool. But yes, nothing movie. Um, and then I started my Bong Joon-ho rewatch. That trailer of Mickey 17 just put me in such a Bong mood. Um, Parasite is the greatest movie ever. I finished
Okay.
Parasite, dude. It's unbelievable, like genuinely unbelievable. This was the first time I had seen it since I want to say like 2020 because I didn't watch it the first time until after it won Best Picture. Um, so this was the first time I had seen it since like 2020, early 2020. Movie ended, and I sat on my couch paralyzed in darkness, just thinking about the movie, about the direction, about every little moment. Um, so many, dude, that flood scene is just, it hasn't left my mind. Cho Yo Jong, when she's sitting on the toilet smoking a cig while the toilet is like exploding with sewage water, that's one of the most powerful images in film ever. That put such a pit in my stomach, man. This whole movie put such a fucking pit in my stomach. And like, obviously, I remember it being this good. I don't remember it being like this good. Like, this was insane, dude. Like, the scenes of them running through like those dark halls in the basement and the guy's face is bloody. Like, that's fucking frightening. Like, this movie, and people say this about Bong, so this is not at all a new sentiment, but like Parasite, man, it's this insane, absurd comedy. It is this soul crushing tragedy. It is a family drama. It is a insane commentary on socio-political, economic, class warfare, whatever. Like it's just everything. Like the way this man takes everything and just throws it into a film, makes it cohesive and makes it as gut wrenching as he can. It's just unbelievable. It is so good, dude. This movie is so fucking good. Um, I cried while watching it. It's so insane. That whole final like monologue when he's like doing Morse code, trying to get this message out to his dad, and then he sends a message back, maybe. And like it cuts to like him in the house, and he's like, you know, one day you'll be able to walk up those stairs and just see me. And then it cuts to him in his actual home. And he's just like, but until then, take care. And I was like, fuck, dude, this sucks. This hurt me. This hurt my soul. I was thinking about that movie for a long time. Snowpiercer, again, really
Mhm.
cool. Obviously, way more of like a dystopian action thriller, but with like typical Bong, very very deep, very conversation opening commentary. It's cool going through Bong Joon-ho's filmography, and the other one I watched was Host from 2006. So it's cool going from like a 2006 Bong Joon-ho to 2013 Bong Joon-ho to 2019 Bong Joon-ho, and seeing how like this man has just leveled up every time. He's just leveling up his game. He's becoming more absurd. He's taking apart genre norms more and more with each movie. He's becoming deeper and I guess like more profound with each movie. And it's sick. He's so good. But yeah, that's what I've been watching. That's where I ended. My plan last night was to come home from hanging out with friends and not sleep. Just go from Friends to watch Memories of Murder and then just go right into the Australian Open final. But I was very tired and didn't do that. So Memories of Murder maybe tonight. But yeah, that's been my week.
Nice. Packed one. Tyler, how have you been? I know you didn't sleep, so how are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I'm running on about 50 minutes, I'd say, of sleep. So was going to go to bed last night, and I had alarms set. So basically for my time zone, it was 1:30. It would start the tennis match. I had an alarm set for 2:15 just to be like a pop in, one set in. What's the vibe of this match? Is this something I want to stay up for? Then I had another alarm for like 4 a.m. in case like it was an intense third setter. Watch that. But I just ended up watching every minute of the entire match. Great match. I mean, the third set was incredible. I mean, real ball knowers like myself who watched would know. I know George is a box score merchant, not an actual tennis watcher, but real watchers know it wasn't actually the greatest match because it basically was Keys was incredible the first set. Sabalenka kind of sucked. Second set, opposite. Basically, like until the third set, neither of them were playing good at the same time. So it was kind of pretty quick match, actually, because only one of them was locked in at a time, but third set, both of them locked in. Honestly, I mean, another reason to join the Patreon and the Discord. We were chatting it up in the tennis channel. The tennis channel is very active. I'm sure it will be again tonight a few nights ago, I guess, for people listening to this for Sinner versus Zverev. But electric match. Shout out Madison Keys. We were talking in the Discord, like she's the Matthew Stafford of tennis. It was kind of like her one shot at getting that title. And I'm glad she locked in because I don't know. I feel like there's a strong chance she'll never be back in a major final again. Maybe she goes on a run. We'll see. But it really felt like this is like her time because she was kind of playing just insanely lights out and just had like a late career resurgence. So shout out USA.
Was a gross tournament. Danielle Collins, Svitolina, Rybakina, Iga, and then Sabalenka.
That's what I'm saying. It might be the most. I've only been following tennis for 2 years, but I can't think. I mean, I'm just gonna say it's the most impressive run, men or women, for like a gauntlet to go through to get a title.
That is an insane tournament.
But the Australian Open's been pretty kind to American women because I think it's 8 years in a row now that in the final an American's been in it. So it's like Americans are pretty successful there for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, it was electric. Been watching a lot of tennis all week. Told George this, but the more real tennis I watch, the more I actually think challengers. A lot of people say it's like unrealistic. I actually think it is realistic.
You're
even more so now.
You're bugging out,
dude. These tennis players need women to say they're breaking up with them to play. That's what I'm saying. These, especially American men. American men are they're
so coddled, dude. They're so
bad at tennis. But most of all, Alex de Minaur, my goat, needs someone to say I'm breaking up. He has nightmares of Yannick Sinner. Like if he sees that dude, he pees his pants. Like it's actually embarrassing. So these men are so coddled. They need a woman to say, dude, if you don't win a damn match, I'm literally never going to see you again in your life. So that's why I think Challenger is realistic because some of these players are so mentally fried that they just need someone to lock them in. Because that's the most frustrating thing. Tennis is such a mental sport that it makes it more frustrating to watch sometimes when you're like you're beating yourself and it's just like annoying to watch and it just pisses you off. But been good matches. We're recording this this will be out after the men's final, so I'm predicting Sinner's going to win 3-0 to be realistic here. I don't think it'll be as good as the match as the women's one, but we'll see. But I've been enjoying watching a lot of tennis. Other than that, pretty typical week. Yeah, I'm trying to think. We haven't really done anything exceptional other than just work and hanging around the house, watching tennis. But yeah, and I'm trying to think. I don't really think I have anything coming up this week either. But in a couple weeks, I'll be going to Pittsburgh for work on the day of the Super Bowl, which kind of sucks. I'll be like at my hotel and situated like at least an hour before the Super Bowl even kicks off, so like I'll be able to watch it still. But pretty lame Super Bowl Sunday will be, but that's still a few weeks away. Oh, I guess when this uploads, the Super Bowl will be determined. So. Congratulations, Buffalo Bills. Huge win over the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Crazy. And it wasn't even close. Josh Allen locked in finally. And then Saquon Barkley leading the Eagles over the Commanders. I was pulling for the Commanders, but unfortunately, Eagles they're just built different. So Bills-Eagles Super Bowl should be a fun matchup. I'm predicting the Bills right now. You know, it's their time. Josh Allen marrying or getting engaged to Haley Steinfeld, win a Super Bowl in 1 year. It's enough to make Shamik more. It's enough to bring a tear to his eye. But in terms of what I've been watching, let's see. Yeah, because we're going back a bit. Watch La Chimera with Josh O'Connor. Really liked it. Watched it on a plane. Wish I didn't watch it on a plane. Feel like it would have been better to not have that be my first experience with it, just because it was a movie that I wish I was a little more able to lock in for than being kind of distracted on a plane. But really enjoyed it. Josh O'Connor, really love him as an actor. Just a nice movie that went pretty under the radar from late 2023. What's next? Dear Santa, which shout out you for winning the ReelTok Award. If I didn't watch that movie, it would not have won a ReelTok Award. So consider yourself blessed, Dear Santa. I was put it over the top. Then I watched Kneecap, which unfortunately did not, which we'll talk about soon. Unless I'm crazy, unless I'm forgetting, I believe, did not get the nomination for Best International Film, which is sad and unfortunate. Shout out Kneecap, awesome movie, awesome group. Been listening to their music ever since seeing that movie, but really good one. It's on Netflix. So I would check it out if you haven't seen it already. It's went completely under the radar because it was a movie that, people in film spheres have talked about from last year. But in terms of the only reason I knew it was on Netflix, I was just like scrolling deep into Netflix one day and just saw it on there. So it's not anything they're like promoting or pushing, but it is on there. So Netflix, Kneecap, check it out. You'll have a good time with it. Watch The Wild Robot.
Watch Amelia Perez.
Correct. Do not watch Amelia Perez. Terrible movie. But actually,
so many people are watching Amelia Perez though.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be kind of disappointed if people didn't. Like, you got to be a true Oscar veteran. Like, you got to watch them all, even if it's shit. Like, you just have to. Cam, I remember, didn't you review The Wild Robot on the pod and you didn't love it?
I didn't love it. I mean, I liked it. Didn't love it. I think it's like a 3.5 for myself. People love that movie. People adore it.
People love that movie. I did not care for it. I thought it was very okay.
Boo, you're anti-animation.
Yeah, you are.
I mean,
I don't know
well,
if I can line with you there, but I didn't love this one specifically.
Yeah, it was not as great as I was expecting it to be. I
mean, it's very clearly like a parenthood movie, right? And so like people were just disappointed in me that it didn't resonate with me a ton.
Did it resonate with Emma at all? Did she watch it?
She didn't watch that shit.
Come
on. Emma's watched. Emma watched Juror number 2. She went and saw Challengers and Trap with me. Didn't love Trap or Juror number 2. I think she liked Challengers. She liked Challengers, and I think those are her 3 2024 watches. I think
she never watched Dune.
No,
that's crazy.
She did watch the first Dune, fell asleep. And that's when I decided, okay, you don't have to come. I asked her to come to Dune with me. I was like, I'm excited for this movie. Let's go watch it. She knew she wouldn't like it. And I was like, it's a hobby of mine. Let's go see it. Fell asleep. And I was like, all right, we're going to separate church and state. I don't talk movies with Emma. I don't watch movies with Emma. I mean, we'll turn on. We've watched the Mario movie a couple times this week, but like
banger.
I think those are her 3 2024 watches.
You watched it a couple of times this week, you said? So is that like Bailey's new hype?
Yeah, we'll get into it. Bailey's big into Mario right now.
Nice. Yeah. You singing Peaches around the house?
No, he's more he's big into asking who things are, what they are. He's not there just yet to singing the tunes, but yeah.
One day.
Yeah, one day.
Yeah, so didn't love the Little Robot or Wild Robot. Watched Little Women after it.
Good
Love
movie.
Little Women. Might be like the greatest movie of all time, for being honest with each other. I love it so much, and every time I watch it, I love it even more. And then Den of Thieves 2 Pantera, which we'll talk about. Back in Action, which I guess we'll talk about later. Challengers, rewatch that. This was a big. This 17th was a big Real Talk Awards prep day for me. So I had these movies were all like second screen viewing while I was preparing the presentation. So Challengers, obviously, movie I've seen many times. Project X, hadn't seen it in a while, but seen it several times. And that soundtrack is so electric. The movie as a whole is so electric. It's like the perfect like grind and get shit done movie to have on this monitor over here while I'm working on a main monitor. But Project X is a fun movie, and that's just like the perfect recipe of like being a teenager when this movie came out, being a dude and just being like, hell yeah, like imagine we throw a party like that or like go to a party like that. Like that'd be so sick. We would be so sick if we did that. And then you just like fire up another round of High Rise on Modern Warfare 2 and just have a night staying up till 3 a.m. buzzing on some Mountain Dew high voltage or some Live Wire. That's the good stuff. The orange. What else is there? Code Red.
Yeah.
Good stuff. It might have been. I don't even know Bob. I think Bob Blast was a thing, but I don't think
Baja Blast is so much more peak.
Yeah, I don't think that was the move back then though. But yeah, getting the double XP with the Doritos as well. Man, glory days of the teenage boys being just obsessed with Project X and playing Call of Duty. But the soundtrack of Project X is just uncomparable. It's so good. It's so good. The Kid Cudi remix is Mount Rushmore of just like vibes, party, movie songs. And then finish off the grind session with Mamma Mia again. We'll see if this becomes another monthly rewatch, but I wouldn't hate it if I did. And then took a break. Didn't really watch a movie for a while. I watched the John Adams HBO series, so I guess that took a little longer because it's like 7 episodes that are all like feature film length. But Paul Giamatti, obviously, I'm a big fan of him. But this was in 2008. The cast is pretty stacked. I didn't really know Eben Moss Bacharach from really anything before The Bear, but he plays John Quincy Adams in this. And then you have Andrew Scott, Laura Linney, I think is awesome as Abigail Adams. But pre and post Revolutionary War era is like my favorite time of like history to like learn about or be immersed in. It's just such a fascinating time period. So it scratched that itch, but it wasn't anything amazing. Like I think the pilot, the first episode is incredible. And then it just kind of becomes a bit of a chore to finish. But Paul Giamatti, he's just that guy, man. Rewatched Death Note movie. I really like this movie. It's very hated on. It's classic, like
Bad
thing
movie
that's super.
that you like.
No, it's not a bad
Right,
movie.
no,
It's a bad movie for ball people don't know ball knowledge, but
Here we go.
it's a classic. Like you watch it's an adaptation that some people love, so it was never going to get a fair shake. But it's directed by Adam Wingard. Unreal amount of sauce. I love The Guest. I think I put Seth on The Guest, and he was a big fan of that movie. He also did You're Next. In terms of his horror stuff, I'd never seen the Blair Witch remake. I don't know if George is a fan of that. It doesn't look like Seth or George are, but I don't know. I've only seen The Guest and You're Next out of him, and he did Godzilla X Kong. So if you're a fan of that, ass, not a fan.
No, Godzilla X Kong is bad.
That's prime flop right there.
Cam gives it a 4-star. People, 86 out of 100.
Does he?
Wait. Godzilla X Kong?
Yeah. Oh, Godzilla vs Kong.
Godzilla vs Kong.
Oh.
Good. Hey, differentiate those.
I mean, not.
Well,
good,
he also does the New
better.
Empire.
No, the New Empire ass.
Yeah, both.
That's Godzilla X Kong.
But no,
I know my ball. Damn it.
This is a Netflix original film. It looks so damn good. Like it's like a classic. If you make movies that look this good these days, especially on Netflix, they'll kill you for it. It's a cinematographer who did all the Star Wars prequels, did The Green Mile, Speed Racer, Con Air. So it's a beautiful looking movie. Lighting is incredible. But yeah, people just hate on this movie. I think it's not the greatest thing in the world. I think it's the biggest thing it suffers from is that it's like an hour and a half, which obviously it's a feature film length and has to pack in so much material, like 37 episodes worth or whatever. I think is how long the anime series is. So definitely condenses it, but I actually think that's a little more interesting exploration of the form because it's about power, absolute power corrupting people. And the fact you have to pack it in so quick almost makes it a more interesting experiment, just how fast power can corrupt someone. But Margaret Qualley, I would fold if she made me start doing things in her honor. So there's no shot that I would be as strong as him. Shea Wiggum, all time. Yep, he's in every movie performance.
He's also in he's in Kong, not Godzilla X Kong.
Anytime I see Lakeith Stanfield's a good time, obviously, and then Willem Dafoe as well. So like there's people in this movie that are great. So I had a good time with it. Watched it many years ago, way before Letterboxd, but then rewatched it recently. And for those of you, before you ask, yes, I have seen the whole anime series, and I have the anime series as well, and I have read it. So it's not like I'm just people are like, oh, you haven't read or watched that, so you wouldn't hate it as much as we do who have watched it. I'm like, no, I have. Don't worry. Like it's not like that. Rewatched The Real Pain also, which is on Hulu. Liked it a lot more this go around. I gave it like 2.5 the first time, gave it 4 this time. Just worked a lot better. I think Kieran Culkin and Jesse Eisenberg are just so much in their style of acting that it was just like abrasive a bit at first. And then once I kind of knew what I was in store for, I think I was able to appreciate it a lot more. But Kieran Culkin, yeah, he's not a supporting actor. He's more co-lead, obviously. But, in terms of the nominees, I think he's definitely deserving of the Oscars. Basically, already got his name engraved on it. But I still really hate the score in that movie a lot. But other than that, liked it a lot more. And then watched JFK, which is supposed to be our Patreon review of the week, but no one else watched it except me. So that'll be our Patreon review next week.
You call us out like that. I said we were switching.
Nah, we have to. You deserve to be called out. I watched a 3.5-hour movie, but no one else did. But yeah,
commented that on I sent a message in the Discord, and someone commented because you like the emojis of JFK, and I was like, my bad, man, my bad.
Yeah. It'll be
watch it eventually.
The review next week. No, it's next week, not eventually. It's next week.
That's eventually.
You're gonna be watching it. But yeah, and then yesterday, which I haven't logged yet, which I guess if you're listening to this, I will have logged by now, watched Better Man and Wolfman. So the manly double feature. And I guess both of those we'll be talking about shortly. So I won't get into those, but that's what I have.
That reply to your tweet killed me.
Yeah, hairy movies.
Bro likes his movies hairy.
One of them way better than the other. Stay tuned to find out which.
How's Back in Action?
Back in Action's ass. Let's see. Yeah. What did I even write? My
review? Don't say.
Cameron Diaz is back, and this is just like why I appreciate movies like Netflix originals like Death Note a lot more, because there's Death Note was 2017, so like 8 years ago. Obviously, there was still a ton of Netflix originals coming out back then, but not nearly the level of sloppage we're getting today. And this is just such a dull, ugly movie that. It's got the Netflix recipe, right? Gonna look ugly, gonna have actors but like haven't seen anything great in a while. Random collection. Andrew Scott, I'm sorry the bills are that high. I can't believe you're in this. Kyle Chandler, I always love you in movies as well. But like Cameron Diaz is back acting after, let's see, what's the last thing she even did before this?
The Annie movie.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was the last one in 2014, right?
Sheesh.
With Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, let's see. She has.
You think she's just pals with him, and that's why she came back in action?
I don't know. Maybe she doesn't have a lot of other friends.
Yeah, I don't know. She's never really
Bills
had.
Are high.
Yeah, her filmography is really ass. Like she's just not great ever. So she should have stayed retired. But Jamie Foxx, Jamie Foxx is also someone who needs to hang it up. He's washed as well,
for sure.
But that's just what the Netflix original recipe is. Have some leads that are washed. Have some supporting characters. You're like, oh, interesting. I know you. And
is Cameron Diaz bad? I don't know if I watch any of her movies to get.
I was looking at her filmography. I don't see anything that stands out. I think the best movie she's been in is I guess Minority Report, but Gangs in New York probably is the best movie she's been in, which is infamous for everyone
say she's like super miscast.
Exactly. So garbage. The best stuff she's probably done is the Shrek movies.
Oh, she was in 7. She was in 7. I mean, she was super fine in 7.
When was she in 7?
She's Brad Pitt's wife.
No.
Who am I thinking of?
Is she not?
Nope. Gwyneth Paltrow.
Gwyneth Paltrow. You stupid fuck.
Wrong.
Yeah, my bad. I'll retire. Yeah, sorry.
But no, Seth Gordon
is sure.
I'm positive.
I feel like you're lying.
This is by the director of Horrible Bosses. So I like Horrible Bosses. Baywatch, which is a movie. 4 Christmases.
Like the new Baywatch, I assume.
Yeah.
Was the old one a show? I never.
Yes.
New Baywatch is funny. I'll admit.
New Baywatch is good, like workout motivation, but that's about it.
Bad movie, funny movie.
For real.
Mhm.
I'll give
Hilarious.
Identity Thief. Yeah, this guy cooks up some stinkers. Identity Thief got a Cam Walsh 2.5, so that basically means it's the worst movie ever made. But yeah, Back in Action. Don't waste your time with it. Only threw it on because I needed something to only pay like 70% attention to, and I was like, might as well start building out that 2025 list and get a clear cut like worst on there. But yeah, it's like, I don't know what
I think Identity Thief's too high for a 2.5. I think that's too high.
Yeah, it's
That's
just
the one with Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's funny.
But yeah, Back in Action. No need to waste your time. It's just like these two people escaped a world of crime, but then basically something that they were involved with many years prior that they thought was far in their past. Now they're just kind of focused on their family. It comes back and becomes an issue that they have to deal with. They have to go on the run, escape the country, go to their mom's like mansion in England, which is played by Glenn Close, which is which weird actors in this movie.
Did you see Strays?
It's ringing a bell, but I don't think
dog
so.
movie.
No,
never watched that. I'm looking at Jamie Foxx's recent movies because you said he needs to hang it up, which I don't entirely disagree with. They Clone Tyrone is good. That was pretty good from last year.
That's fine.
Or 2 years ago now. Day Shift sucked. It's like so fucking bad. Then No Way Home, not really his movie by any means, but he did Soul. So therefore, I will always love him.
But yeah, Back in Action. That's all I got for it.
That's fair. Myself, not a whole lot going on. Man, we're yapping. Not a whole lot going on. I'm just hanging out this week. Purdue basketball's looking good. Took a tough loss early this week.
That was a slaughter against Michigan. Yeah,
Michigan was ugly. It was a great game to watch. Very happy last night. Traveling this week. I'm going to the old Connecticut. So I fly into Boston. So I might I don't know. I might go see the Brutalist in Boston tomorrow or something. I feel like I have to go see something or go do something. We'll see.
You should fly into New York instead.
I have a layover in LaGuardia for a solid 20 minutes.
That's 20 minutes away from my apartment. You can come hang out.
Oh shit. I think I'll be running from gate to gate. I think I'll be sprinting. I'm hoping it's close, but I've never been to LaGuardia. I've never been to New York. Nice. I assume any New York airport is a lot more hectic than the Indianapolis airport, which is just you walk in, you walk to your plane. I've waited in line for a solid 10 minutes max at the Indianapolis airport. It's amazing. But yeah, I gotta assume LaGuardia, I'm gonna be sprinting. So that's what's upcoming, which is exciting. Emma is going to Florida this week as well. Like her and her mom are taking a little vacation while I'm out of town, so that'll be fun for her. She's got the kids in Florida, which I'm sure will be hectic, but I'm glad she gets to get to some warmer weather. When you travel for work, obviously this isn't the experience for you, Tyler, coming from Arizona, but I always like going to warmer places because it's like, this feels fun. This is exciting. But no, traveling to Connecticut, it's just as cold as here, which sucks. But it should be fun.
Nowadays, I guess at least this week, everywhere in America is cold. Like freaking New Orleans got 10 inches of snow. Sure. Like the ocean, the beaches on the ocean, Alabama are covered in snow. So
that's
weird time.
It's warming up though. They had their 5 days of snow.
Traveling to cold places sucks though, because if you're just trying to pack light, it just takes up so much more real estate in your suitcase, and you have to pack just even one jacket just ruins the entire situation.
Yep, I'm with you. So I just actually checked in, and earlier this week I got a notification that I was getting a free upgrade on my seat. And so I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to sit first class. No. So I got an upgrade to preferred check-in or whatever. So it's 2 seats closer than where I was. It's the same exact seat though. And I this doesn't feel like anything at all. So yeah, thanks Delta. I appreciate the upgrade, but I mean, just have first class and not first class. That's all there is on the plane. There's no difference other than like if you're in the emergency seat and you get the leg room, like there's no difference. So yeah, I guess that's my first time ever being upgraded, but
You'll get off the plane faster.
I guess, yeah, I guess. But then you sit on the plane longer when you get on. I prefer to sit in the terminal. But yeah,
I'll never understand that why people want to get on the plane so fast. Especially, I get so triggered when people have like aisle seats too. It's like you knew you were gonna have to stand up, make a big scene as like we all go past.
I'm a big aisle seat guy, so I stand up, but I don't make a scene about it. But I hate plane etiquette. People are the worst on the plane. Getting up as soon as the plane lands, you should be shot.
Terrible.
On point, shot.
Yeah.
You're not. And this coming. I'm always in the back row. So if you're always or like relatively back, because I'm not sitting first class. If you're always towards the back, sit your ass down. You got 30 minutes before you get off this fucking plane. I should be allowed to shoot you. It's infuriating, man. It's that's the only reason like guns should be allowed on a plane is the pilot can shoot you if you stand up. It's just insane. I hate plane etiquette, and everyone's either leaning back or kicking the seat. I don't know. People are the worst on planes. People are just mean. Just be kind to others. Yeah. So that's what's coming up. Not a whole lot. This week I watched, as I mentioned, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I like it enough. So, twice. Yep. I like it enough, so it's fine. But like, so we've been playing the new Super Mario Bros. Or Super Mario Party on the Switch. And so Bailey like gets entertained by watching that. And so then we were like, want to try this movie, and it kept his attention for the whole hour and a half, which is just incredible. Sad to say The Lion King did not as much, but Mario, that shit was amazing to him. And then we watched it again later in the week when we were like winding down for the night, and he loved it again. I watched both the Trons. Fine film.
Tron Legacy's
Tron
good.
Legacy is a fine film. Tron 1 is mid at best. Just fine films. I hate to be like new age technology is better guy, but like, I'm sorry, the Tron universe, it works better when you have this new age technology that looks a lot better. Sorry to the first film, it looks like shit. It's not their fault. It's the technology they had. Come up with the idea in 40 years when the technology catches up. But yeah, it just looks like shit, unfortunately. Daft Punk, banging score. Like I respect them. I watched Better Man. I watched Den of Thieves, which we'll talk. We'll talk right now. We'll just get right into it. We'll start with like I said, I think Den of Thieves is the biggest one, and I think all three of us saw it. So we can start off moving on to Den of Thieves. George, give your thoughts.
Fun. I mean, kind of exactly the movie I expected. I don't think this is any better or worse than the first movie. I think it's kind of like exactly in line with that type of like action and comedy hybrid that I had expected. This is becoming like the action version of like the Smile franchise for me. Like, make one of these Den of Thieves movies every 2 years, just change the location and I'll be sat. I'll have so much fun. I think Gerard Butler is genuinely fantastic in these movies. I think he's just so good as that like degenerate, down on your luck, piece of shit, investigative officer.
Mm-hmm.
I think O'Shea Jackson and the two of them are just really cool opposite each other. In this movie, you obviously see them play more as like a little friends. It's like a buddy heist movie a little bit. So I like watching them like with that dynamic. It's also just a very self-aware movie. Like, it's never taking itself seriously. Like, there are really like high octane action set pieces that are fucking awesome. But then there's like a 5-minute scene where they're preparing for the heist and they're like switching auxes depending on what music they want to listen to. And they're just singing and dancing. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, this movie does not take itself seriously, but it never reaches like those corniness levels that like you would expect from like recent Fast and Furious movies. This is kind of, these are the Den of Thieves movies are just like the Fast and Furious movies, just not cringe and corny, I guess. At least late stage Fast and Furious. They're fun. Yeah, they really are just a genuinely like good time. Like, I mean, I don't know if we'll get into spoilers, but like the entire heist in this movie was like a 50-minute sequence that genuinely like had me sweating. And it was like a really well put together scene. And then everything that unfolds after that, and the way like these characters and their dynamics like change and evolve, like it really is just like a well thought out, well put together, self-aware movie. And like I gotta respect it for that. Like I had a great time. 2 hours and 20 minutes for these movies is like fine. Like it flew by. I really didn't think I was in the theater that long. Obviously a lot of people are like, no need for these movies to be that long. And I'm like, why? Make them longer. Like it's just Gerard Butler kicking ass. Like, how do you not love that? But yeah, I loved it. I love the Italian backdrop. I think it's sick. Like I said, just make one of these movies every 2 years, change the city. That's literally all you need to do. Do the same formula, same main two characters, different group of heisters around them, different city, and I'll be sat every time.
I think every 2 years is where it becomes Fast and Furious. We got the first one 7 years ago. So I think
was Den of Thieves 7 years ago?
I think we keep it to 4 to 5 years.
All right, 4 to 5 years.
Not sitting in Fast and Furious franchise.
Oh, that makes so much sense, because I was watching Den of Thieves, and I don't know why I didn't check this. I could have sworn Den of Thieves 1 was like 2021 or 2022, but I was watching Den of Thieves 2, and I'm like, damn, like O'Shea Jackson put on a lot of weight in a short amount of time. I was like, yeah, go.
The guy in my theater, like 2 seats over me, the first time he shows up on the screen, he's like, damn, he gained weight. and I just like absolutely lost it. Me and Riley, I was like, oh my god. And
well,
the
like
funny thing, and the first thing after I googled Den of Thieves 2 when I got home was it was O'Shea Jackson on the cover of like Men's Health talking about like being in action shape, and I was like, are we seeing the same movies?
Yeah, dude, he was like not large, but like. Yeah, but like I saw Den of Thieves 1 like the day before I saw Den of Thieves, or maybe like 2 days before. So I had like that, like I guess younger, more in shape O'Shea Jackson Jr. on my mind. And then he shows up on screen and I was like, whoa, man's been eating good.
Which is fine, but there's some things that they have to do in the heist that like
he and Gerard Butler are not doing.
Yeah,
there are several things they're not doing.
Well, Gerard Butler also, while filming this, apparently had a torn ACL the entire time. So
they're
maybe they do need to make them every 2 years, because one of them they keep gaining weight and the other one keeps getting old and injured. They gotta chop on these things.
Gerard Butler definitely does not have it in him to do 2 more at like 5 to 7 year gaps. He's got to get 2 more in at 2 year gaps.
Yeah, he's definitely getting up. I mean, listen, he can still move, he can still act, like, and I'm sure like he's not doing his own stunts, but still,
he's one of the most typecast actors in our generation, I'd say.
Dude, he's one of the goats. I don't care.
I like him a lot. I'm just saying,
Geostorm.
I know. I had started Geostorm actually not too long ago, and then I was like,
Geostorm's funny, man.
I'm not watching this one.
That's a funny film, but that's a classic Gerard Butler film, man. Like, he's always a guy who like does something else, but he's too badass to do that. Because I think in Geostorm he's like a scientist, but he's too badass to be a scientist. In the what is it? The White House Down movies, he's a security guard, but he's too badass to be. But he's
sick.
Guard.
Yeah, he's like the greatest security guard of all time.
Yeah, he's too badass in this. He's a cop, but he's too badass to be a true cop. It's very funny.
Yeah, he's
in the Has Fallen. The White House Down, I think, is Jamie Foxx.
Oh yeah, he's in Olympus Has Fallen. Good call.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like this movie. I really did. I had a great time. It really is just like the most 3.5 action movie out there, which like is a complimentary thing to say for like a Den of Thieves movie. Like I went into 2 not thinking I was going to be like as high on it as 1. I went into 1 not even thinking I was going to be as high as I was. But Like one wrapped up and I was like, oh shit, like one, that's such a good action movie. Two, the ending of one is sick. Like it really sets up something fun. And that made me very excited for Den of Thieves 2. Den of Thieves 2, I will say it takes its time to get going. Like you're not really like obviously the movie opens with like an airport heist scene and then it kind of like mellows out, which a lot of people I see like don't love that. I kind of really liked it because they really like took time to like show you how they get from like phase one of planning a heist to the actual heist. Obviously, it's not like they don't flesh it out like as incredibly and as like densely as you would expect, but like I appreciate them taking the time to like get to Italy, find team members. They have like internal team drama, you know. I'm not going to spoil, but they take time to like get to the heist. And I think that also made that heist scene so much more like fucking anxiety inducing. Cause like, I was like, damn, like I've been with these characters for a while. I've been with on their journeys for a while in this movie. And then that whole scene was just like, it was so good. Like it was genuinely like just a very tense scene. You know, you have like the security guys watching, they're playing around with the cameras, trying to make sure they don't see them. You know, they drop something on the road, the elevator door, they have to go at a right time. It's like, it was just a very well constructed scene. So yeah, I had a great time with Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, sick ending. We won't spoil it, but dope, like finals, like 3 minutes.
That's how I felt about the first one as well. Like cool endings.
Yeah, like really cool. Like the first one ended sick. Like he's in London, he's faking a fucking British accent, and he's like, "Oh, you work at the Diamond District?
Yeah.
This drink's on me. Don't worry about it, bro."
Yeah.
And then this one, I won't spoil it yet, but yeah, just great endings. But yeah, I had a great time with this movie. I really did. Best movie of the year so far.
Oh yeah, number one.
Number one.
Yeah, so it was actually different than I expected in the sense that Den of Thieves 1 I thought was super action, shoot 'em up, loud, thrilling heists, whereas this one was more quiet, suave. You're in Europe. It's more high class, I'd say. You know, it's more like cat burglary. They're in Europe. It's a more, you know, I feel like it was like a grungy, dirty scene in the first one, where this one, you know, they got to be dressed up in nice suits. It's the Diamond District. These heists are much more quiet, sneaky, slick. So very fun, again, playing with form that it's a heist movie, which I think it's hard to make a heist movie that I'm not going to have a good time with. It's just like a genre that I think is very easy to be like, this is a fun movie, no matter how good or bad it is, but completely different style and vibe of heist in the first one. And, you know, Gerard Butler leaving the first one is kind of like he was so obsessed with catching these guys and put his entire life on the line in terms of his whole life gets ruined. All he's solely focused on catching these people. And then obviously from the first movie, you know, 7 years ago, we see I guess most of the people involved in the heist get killed, but not really. I mean, yes, cause due to Gerard Butler, but, you know, kind of more cause from the chess pieces at play of O'Shea Jackson double crossing everyone. He's the real mastermind, and he's still there kicking, hence why we get the sequel. And Gerard Butler in this one's kind of joining teams with them, which is, you know, you get that from the trailer that they're together on this heist of the Diamond District. And it's kind of like it's kind of a cool dynamic between the two, because I think Riley made this comparison before I did. It's almost like a new Batman and Joker type dynamic where Gerard Butler, like, he joins them, but he's still clearly like on the side of justice, whereas and the others are clearly on the side of crime. But it's like they like need each other, and like with that, like it's like this game of cat and mouse that like it keeps both of them going, keeps both of them energetic, lively for the love of the game. Love how like calling this like Fast and Furious is such a disservice to these movies. These movies are great, but one thing that's like a kind of Fast and Furious vibe of this is that in the first movie they spend probably 30 minutes showing how his family's falling apart, his wife's taking the kids, and that's why he's like so devoted to this. Whereas in this movie, they're just like, give him 7 seconds of a scene where he's like in a courtroom bathroom and like drops his wedding ring, and just give him like 7 seconds to be like, okay, his personal life still sucks. That's why now he's going to go do all this unreal stuff. And we're never going to touch on that again. Just quickly be like, his life's still shit. So let's get on with it and let's have a good time. But yeah, a very different vibe in the first one, but in a cool way. It was awesome, you know, seeing the planning and how they have like the eyes in the sky and all this technology aiding them on these heists that are very slick. And again, Gerard Butler, I don't know, is he like a real action guy? Or is he one of those that's like actually 5'5", but look a bit? No, he's 6'2", so he's a big, strong,
huge,
tall guy. And then O'Shea Jackson, we were talking about, gets a little bigger. And there's like things in this where they're like climbing a pole, really like across buildings, like stuff where like being like big dudes would just not be effective for these heists. So they need to get better at planning their heists around stuff that is more like the first movie is more their size of people's speed, where it's just like, let's just freaking bang it out and blow shit up and shoot people. But this one is like they're trying to sneakily crawl across these things all nimble. It's like
elevators and shit.
Yeah,
I watched this movie. I watched this movie with one of my friends who like loves these kind of action movies. Like he loves like that stupid, like he's a big Fast and Furious guy. So I was like, I'm going to see it with him. When they like put that bar across buildings and they start crawling up it, he immediately looks at me, starts laughing, and goes, "No shot is Gerard Butler doing that."
Yeah, but cool scenes. But you know, Fast and Furious might not be the best comparison. Is almost kind of low key similar to the John Wick franchise in the sense that like John Wick 1 is like a revenge thing, and then as it keeps going, you get the Continental, the conspiracy grows bigger. This one, you get the mafia. Like it's in the first one, you kind of get these guys pulling off a heist, and you realize like, oh, O'Shea Jackson's actually like this mastermind chess puzzle piece guy who's actually controlling what's going on. And then in this one, you see like the mafia is involved, and there's a whole lot more connections and underlying conspiracy than we were initially grown to know. And I don't think it's, I don't know. They're going to make more of these movies. I don't know if there's going to be a spoiler or not, but clearly they ended in a way where it's like, this might be, that's why people are calling it like, you know, Fast and Furious or whatever, like George alluded to, make these every 2 years. That seems like the plan they're going with. You know, it was 7 years between the two, but I think they left this off on a note where it's like, they're going to start cranking them out. And I'm assuming they're going to start just building more in the mafia conspiracies, because you can only keep doing just like a dudes go and rob banks so many times before it's like, how are these dudes still not being caught by international police? But we'll see where it keeps going. I have fun with these movies. Again, George said it perfectly, where it's like those franchises that George mentioned. Smile. I haven't seen the Smile movies, but everyone has their own personal franchise that they can feel this way about, where it's like every time you watch it, you're like, wasn't my favorite thing in the world, but I would watch another one immediately. But I will say I gave it a 3-star. I think I'm low on it purely because I flew back. The day we watched it was the day after Riley's birthday. So we were celebrating Riley's birthday. So by the time we got to the theaters after dinner, it's probably like 9 p.m. when we got to the theater, but that was West Coast time. And I was in the morning in Boston, East Coast time. My flight was at 5 a.m. So really would have went to the airport at like 2 a.m. my local time. So basically I was up since like 2 a.m. until the movie at 9 p.m. So I never really fell asleep during the movie, but there was 3 moments specifically to the movie where I just noticed myself like, oh, I've just been staring like eyes wide open at the screen, but like nothing's connecting. It's just so I was definitely too sleep deprived to fully appreciate this. But I think so. This episode releases on Monday, the 27th. Can't remember if it was this weekend or I think it might be next. I think it's the 28th, but I think like tomorrow it comes out on digital. So it's one of those classic movies in theaters for a couple of weeks and then gets pushed on digital. So we all recommend it. I think Den of Thieves 1 is still on Max. And I love Den of Thieves 1. I think it's a great movie. So have yourself a little Den of Thieves double feature this week. I mean, just treat yourself. It'll be a good time.
Yeah. I don't have to, you know, it's the same feeling. It's a fun movie. It's not, I don't know if it's not Fast and Furious. It's also not John Wick. I think it's somewhere in the fine middle of those, but I really like the John Wick. So, but I think it's very fun. I think Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson Jr. have just great chemistry. They work really well together and bouncing off each other. I think it's not as good as the first, in my opinion, but it's still one that I really like. I gave it I think I'm going to land at like 70 out of 100 to start the year. A nice clean 70, 3.5 out of 5. I think what holds it back is it's just, I think as we get more and more of these, not repetitive because it is very different, but it's slightly repetitive. In the I felt this one was a lot more predictable than the first. The first one, I'll be honest, I didn't really see the O'Shea Jackson Jr. switch come. Like, I didn't see it coming, and I was like, oh, that's a fun little twist. But in this one, I kind of felt like it was pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Like, obviously Nick's working with them. Well, I guess I won't spoil anything. But yeah, I think it's a fun movie. Before we get into spoilers, because I'll spoil something, let me share my screen, because this popped on at work. 1 second. This popped on at work when the movie was getting promoted. They are so fucking close to each other. Give them some space, Drew Barrymore. Scoot over. Look at all this land.
Dude,
Look
look
at all
how
that area
wide
right there,
O'Shea
Drew.
Jackson is.
Oh, that's a wide man. He's a big boy for sure. But
Yeah,
I'm
she's
just
like
saying,
right on top of him.
yeah, get off the people. Like, this is a couch with some space. And at one point, they fit in this same amount of space. A dog pops up. And I mean, like, they're close, but like, I was sitting at work in the cafeteria and I saw them pop on and I was like, oh, Den of Thieves, sick movie. Y'all should go see the second if like people want to, or watch the first. And someone was like, why are they sitting so close together? And then I couldn't unsee it. They're right on top of each other. So I had to pull that up, but we can get into spoilers. If you don't want Den of Thieves 2 spoiled for you, feel free to scroll. We probably won't talk for very long, but I thought it was fairly obvious that, like, you know, Nick was he's like, I'm going to rat on them and then I'm going to feel bad about it because I am friends with them, and is just a classic. Like, I feel like that was a very straightforward plot point, but doesn't necessarily take away the experience. I just thought it was like pretty obvious, but still very fun.
I thought they did a good job at, like, at first I was really like I was like, oh shit, like he's actually like changing sides right now. Like, I didn't think he was playing both sides. I figured like after the first movie, he realized like this obsession he had like ruined his family, ruined his life. So he's like, fuck it, let me profit from it. But then he goes to see the cop after church, and the cop says to him, like, be careful with those guys you're playing around with. And that's when I was like, oh, fuck. Okay. So he's doing this. Like, this is an inside job. Like, he's still a cop.
Tiger can't change his stripes.
Yeah. For a while, though, they had me. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, this is an interesting direction to go down. And then I was like, fuck. He's definitely playing them right now. And like, as the movie went on, I was like, damn, like, this might like hurt, because like, I like this like friendship that the two of them have built. But I like, again, at the end, he redeems himself. Like, O'Shea Jackson's not getting his money. He's not getting the money from the heist, but like, he got what he wanted. He got revenge. He put them in jail, but then he helped it. Dude, throw this into like Whiplash, Black Swan, Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, like that nature of obsession, you know, same shit, same stuff.
Sure. Same movies,
same movies, just obsessed artists, you know. Just different occupations.
Yeah, but clearly, like, the movie ends with so yeah, obviously Gerard Butler double crosses him and he's playing them the whole time, and just to get him caught, because being a normal cop to catch him, he proved in the first one he's never going to be able to get him. And in this one, he's like, oh, I'm going to join them in order to take him down. And then the end, he gets O'Shea Jackson in jail, but clearly that's not going to be for long. And there's maybe the third one will be like a jail breakout movie or something, but clearly they clearly ended this on a note where like there's gonna be another movie coming. They like set it up that they're playing this game of just like cat and mouse. Like, Gerard Butler clearly is not going to be able to just like be done with it now that he got them caught. Like, his whole life has been ruined and devoted to catching him. That, you know, clearly they're just going to be mentally attached for a long time to come. And then you get the hilarious needle drop.
Jokes
that I associate only with The Fault in Our Stars, because that's what I remember from the very end of The Fault in Our Stars. So I'm like, this is hilarious that they're using that, and that's why like it's almost like a comedy, like bromance. Like, that's what like the soundtrack leans into it, and like the whole movie leans into it. That it's just so silly. But
no, that song legitimately is good for an extra half a star on my rating. Like that came up. Me and my friend that I saw this with. This was my college roommate, one of my best friends. We like that song has like such like big impact on us because like we listened to that song like crazy throughout college. Like it was our favorite song. So it came up on the end. We looked at each other and just immediately started dying of laughter. We were like, what the fuck? Like, you got Gerard Butler driving the Italian coast, listening to outros. Like, that's sick. Like, that's such a pathetic, jokey way to end a movie, but it's so fucking sick. But they also, I feel like they set, like, I hope they don't lose. I don't know if this sounds right. I hope they don't like lose themselves in the third film because like these films they've obviously been massive, like, and they're like very like action heavy around the world heists. But like now O'Shea Jackson's character is in with the mafia. Like that's setting up something massive for the third movie, I would imagine. So like I hope they don't lose themselves. Like I hope they don't go down the route where like, you know, in 2 movies they're fucking in space like Fast and Furious. But yeah, good ending, man. Good ending.
Yeah, just him driving down the coast. It's just beautiful to see. But yeah, good movie. I mean, there's not. I really liked the green light, red light like scene where they're just like you said, Tyler.
Yeah.
The thing I was thinking of during this movie is like Netflix just came out with that note that they're gonna make movies. Where they're going to explain everything that's going on. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't think there's been a word said other than green in the whatever room or red in the room for 30 minutes. It's just a like clean scene of them being like sneaky through the hallways and through the elevators and I found that really fun and really enjoyable. It is very different because it's not like an actiony shooty movie, like you said, Tyler, but still a very fun time.
You get a great car chase, like that lasts a long time towards the end. You get the Russian mafia. Like I wonder if we'll see more in the third one that like they're actually pulling the strings the whole time in the sense that like because Riley walked out there, she's like, how would the mafia know like exactly what road and corner to like be there prepped for to like blow up the car and kill the people? I'm like, I don't know, it'd be cool if we get like the end of Den of Thieves 1 where he shows like how he was actually controlling everything the whole time. That Den of Thieves 3 with the mafia, we just start to see like that every single thing that happened went exactly to the plan and exactly how the mafia had it planned out. And that, you know, they're kind of like the all-seeing entity that controls everything. But yeah, then like you said, it is very quiet most of the movie, which is probably why I wasn't as locked in. But then you do get that incredible throughout the countryside car chase, ends explosively, and then just a cute little ending.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's fair. I'm a big fan of this franchise, and I hope to see more movies. I just hope it doesn't get to the point of Fast and Furious or something. Because like the first two, I feel like the first one, Fast and Furious, is like on this stage of it's a fun movie. And they find it at the 7th, and then they drop way back down. It's a weird franchise.
I still like Den of Thieves 1 way more than I like Fast and Furious 1.
I like Den of Thieves 1 a ton. I like the first Fast and Furious. I forget what I rate it. Definitely less than Den of Thieves. I wouldn't say like way more, but yeah, I definitely like Den of Thieves 1 and 2 probably better than the first Fast and Furious. Yeah, genuinely, like Tyler said, Den of Thieves is on Max if you have not watched it. Really cool, like intense action heist movie that's very fun. Heat-esque, we'll call it. But very, very fun franchise so far. All righty. We'll move on to Better Man. I watched it. Tyler, I believe you did as well. George, unsure about. Yeah, that's fine. Better Man is a 2024 movie that we're kind of catching up on. I think next week we're going to talk The Brutalist a little bit. So trying to get back to the 2024 movies as they start wider releasing. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Better Man?
Yeah, Better Man. It's been a minute since there's been a movie that has had this much discourse around it. Like before me and most people have seen it. Obviously, it's no secret to anyone who's like in the sphere of movies and discussions online that this movie has not done well. Paramount is no longer releasing box office numbers. Kind of surprising that in a world where things get pushed to streaming so fast, this seems like a movie that should have. Yeah. Because I think this will do well when it is pushed to streaming. I think so. Basically, 2 things. One, I think it is a very fun movie and a very good movie that doesn't deserve to flop. But on the other hand, I think it's crazy that people act like don't understand why it flopped, or like are trying to like gaslight people as to why it flopped. And it's like it's quite obvious why this wouldn't have done well. Like, not only is Robbie Williams someone who never really penetrated the American market for music, so naturally the movie about his life isn't going to be that strong. But then I saw people say the comparisons of like, oh, well, you see movies all the time about people you don't know about, and just because this is about someone you don't know doesn't mean it should take away from it. And I'm like, true, like Heat or whatever you just mentioned is the heist movie about fictional people that we don't know, but musical biopics are such a bland genre anyways, that even when it's about someone I know, I'm not like rushing or bursting at the seams to go see it. So like it's already like a genre that isn't the most butts and seats type of genre. But that being said, it's not doing well, but I think it's a movie that will do well once it gets released and it's on, I guess if it's Paramount, it'll be Paramount Plus, I imagine is where it'll be soon. Because very fun movie. Obviously, again, it's hard. I never know with this podcast how deep to go into things that to me are like obvious, but it's like, maybe if you're not part of film Twitter, obviously this movie like kind of flopped and wasn't marketed a ton. Like, I don't know, listeners, how much you know, but obviously it's Robbie Williams, a biopic of a man who was in a boy band, Take That, in the UK, split off from them, had a very successful solo career. I just saw that he tied the Beatles for the most Billboard #1 albums of any British artist. So very successful over there. Never really penetrated the Western market beyond that, like in terms of like America. Never was super successful here. A guy that barely anyone really knows here. I'd never heard of him before this. I don't know if you're the same. I don't think many. I think it's a very common sentiment across a lot of Americans. But and then he's played by a CGI monkey, so that's obviously the big differentiator gotcha here. That instead of a person playing him is just a monkey, and just kind of awesome that he's played by a monkey and no one ever addresses it. So it's just like he's just like a person, which is just like a cool aspect. But it's directed by the director of The Greatest Showman. He's done a couple other like musical documentaries, like for Pink. But really the only feature films. Well, he's also doing Tangled, the next Tangled movie. Or is that live action? Yeah, live action remake of Tangled movie.
Yeah.
And this dude has a sauce. Like Greatest Showman, I think, is a very okay movie.
Good songs.
Good songs, great songs, but it's a very okay movie. But I think the way it's shot is pretty solid. I think the writing is what holds that one back. But in terms of like making films look good, he has sauce, and this one definitely I think looks great. In terms of just like the way it's shot, in terms of the way it looks and the way it's lit, I'd say in terms of the CGI monkey, I'd say not top 3 CGI monkeys from 2024 in terms of visual effects, which is crazy to say out loud.
Top 3. So are you going 1 is obviously like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes?
Yeah. Yep.
And then 2 is Godzilla X Kong?
Yeah. Is there more monkeys from last year?
Or are you like, I mean, all of the monkeys in Kingdom look better. So if we want to do that, but then you got Godzilla X Kong, you got Better Man.
Oh, you got Wicked.
Wicked had some monkeys. Those don't look great though.
Yeah, they don't. But I don't think he looks great in this either. I don't think the visual effects.
I think it looks fine.
It looks fine, exactly.
Amazing.
But it's whatever. But it's an interesting take to have him be a monkey. The reason he kind of did that is just because to add more empathy than like a person gets, because people are obviously more empathetic towards animals than humans because we're weird like that as a human species. And then also just feeling like an outcast, feeling like you're different, feeling like no one really understands you. That's kind of why they went with the monkey angle. Fine decision, I think, is something interesting, unique, quirky. It's kind of silly and ridiculous, if I'm being honest, but it made for a different experience than normal. But again, it hits all the musical biopic beats. Again, being a monkey, I guess, does change some things because it's obviously will take some time to adjust to, and you get kind of an epic monkey battle scene randomly thrown in there as well. But it hits all the musical biopic notes. A guy who didn't know about by the time I finished it, I don't know. Like his music's fine. I don't think any song he's ever made is that revolutionary. None of the songs in this movie I thought were like incredible. I think they're fine for what they were. I guess they're fine for what they were for like a musical biopic. Like I had a good time with them, but it's not like Kneecap. I watched. I'm like, I'm going to listen to some Kneecap. I'm not going to be listening to Robbie Williams now after this movie. If I do, it'll probably just be like the soundtrack of this movie because for the vibes. What's the song?
Better or Rock DJ?
No, I mean that one's fine. I'm talking about the one he sings with his dad. It's not a Robbie Williams song, but that scene, that was my favorite musical number of the movie. But
I think the one they're very clearly marketing the most is that rock DJ sequence, and I think that's without a doubt the best like musical piece we get in this movie. And the one he sings is She's the One. She's the One, I think, is the song he sings with Nicole Appleton. And I think that one's really cool. I really like
My
this
Way
movie.
is the one that I really like.
My Way
with his dad. My Way. Is that Frank Sinatra who sings that?
Fuck, I don't know, man.
Frank Sinatra, yeah. Yep, Frank Sinatra.
I really like this movie, actually. It's it would have been way funnier if this movie sucked, but it's actually quite good. But like the monkey angle and everything and losing a ton of money just would have been more entertaining and fun to talk about if it ended up being like really shitty. But it's kind of a bummer to see like the reception of it, and I take blame. Mind you, it doesn't have the like widest release ever. It was definitely hard for me to find some showtimes around me. But it's got a wide enough release that people should be able to go see it. I'll take blame for not going to see it for a while. But once you start seeing the buzz that it's getting, I think this is a movie that people should be going to see. One of the better musical biopics I think we've really ever gotten. And yeah, it's an interesting look. Like, I don't know about the monkey. Like I appreciate what they're going for. It's different. It's unique. It's interesting. I think it looks fine. I don't know if you need to like lean more into it and put more effort into the CGI or whatever it may be. Doesn't look bad by any means, but like Tyler was saying, it's not the best looking monkey of last year. Definitely hard to act off of. I assume they have a person stand-in though, so you can act off that rather than like a tennis ball flipping around like they did in the like Star Wars prequels. But definitely like hard to act off a monkey. Like where do you kiss? Where do you hug? That sort of thing. But yeah, it's an interesting like idea, and they spend a lot of time. Like very clearly, Robbie Williams was not a person who was super confident in his appearance and how he looked and stuff. So like I fully get and I've talked about it. Like why use it? Why are we using a monkey? I fully get it. But it's one of those things that I don't know how well the common audience is going to receive it. And clearly not, like Tyler said, it's one of the bigger flops of all time. It's going to be the biggest flop of last year. I think, it made like
you ready for some numbers?
Yeah. Hit me with some numbers.
Well, so worldwide right now it's at 16 million and
Yep,
it's probably about to be pulled from theaters, but, so the big thing there's been a lot of gaslighting around this movie about, American audience are so stupid, not seeing this movie, doo-doo brain, only see movies that they like. Yeah. So in the United Kingdom, this movie made $7 million. I get you guys have a much smaller population. $7 million though in the UK, which is, like I said just a second ago, he's tied for the most number one albums of all time of any person in the UK. So, and they all talk about how he's like massive here. Everyone knows Robbie Williams. 7 million there. The Elvis biopic, which it made 288 million worldwide, but that made 30 million in the UK. So the UK, a lot more people come out for Elvis, which is probably expected. Elvis a little worldwide, but Robbie Williams is tied with the Beatles, like I said, for the most number one in the UK. The movie Yesterday, where the guy fakes that he discovers the Beatles, made 20 million. So a movie about the fake Beatles in the UK is tripling Robbie Williams when they're supposed to be tied according to their musical chart numbers. So you people in the UK, and everyone stop gaslighting America as the reason the movie flopped. You guys aren't seeing this movie either. We have a co-host on this podcast who lives there who has not seen the movie and has been out there for a month. So look inward before you start looking out.
I think from everything like Seth tells us about it is like, obviously the Beatles are still known. I don't understand fully why Robbie Williams music, but he says like it's music that his mom really likes. I don't fully know what the difference between the Beatles and him are of like, why are they generational if they've had the same number of, we'll call it hits or number weeks at the top of the Billboard charts, but he's not a generational talent that like is just resonating with younger audiences by any sense of the imagination. So
yeah, his music's very like Bruno Mars-y, I guess, if I had to make a comparison.
Bruno Mars has been gone for a while, because I saw a video of him like last night. I'm like, where's Bruno Mars been at? But
apparently he's in a lot of debt or something, because he has like a Vegas residency that he's like locked into for the next like forever. So he's on the Elvis route where he gets yeah, he's just,
epic.
But no, it's Robbie. The clip goes around, so like obviously the Rock DJ clips everywhere, but there's a clip where it's like, for the next 2 hours, your ass is mine, and then the top comment on the TikTok is like, Robbie Williams ain't have no songs you got to be doing this for. Like, it's like it just plays like Cole's music, like while you're shopping for a new pair of jeans right after he's like screaming at the crowd. But just kind of electric, kind of hilarious. But you know, the movie's effective in the sense that they said a CGI monkey would get more empathy than a person. They're not wrong. A lot of the scenes in this movie that get the tears jerk in or get you a little emotional, I am absolutely certain would not have probably been as hard hitting if it wasn't a cute little monkey feeling so down.
Like, especially when he's a kid getting bullied on the soccer field, I was like, oh man, I feel bad for him. I don't know if I would have if it were like a random like 13-year-old British kid.
Yep. But then and then you get he kind of has a challenging relationship with his father, who's also in the industry, and they kind of cross paths here and there throughout their lives, and you get a nice emotional scene at the end of them singing together "My Way," which I really enjoy that scene as well. But I thought this movie was really fun. I think it is a movie that is worth seeing on the big screen, but don't know how much longer it'll be in theaters. You know, we are late to the parties ourselves. It was released about a month ago in the UK, released like 2 or 3 weeks in America. But obviously with Paramount not showing box office numbers anymore, it's just a matter of time before they pull it. So I think you probably realistically have like 1 or maybe 2 weeks left you want to see on the big screen, which I do recommend, because it is a very fun time in the theater. But if not, then I think this is going to be one of those classic movies that is going to come out on digital, going to get a good resurgence here. And people are going to watch it and have a good time with it.
Huge, massive shout out to not Robbie Williams' real father, Robbie Williams' actor father, Steve Pemberton, is on the show Taskmaster, that I really like. And I talk about, I feel like every so once in a while on this podcast. Big fan of Taskmaster. Emma and I love that shit. Best thing that's ever came out of the UK.
So that's not MC related. That's not.
No, shockingly.
Okay.
Shockingly, it's a show where basically they just like bring on like a bunch of comedians. Nate from like Ted Lasso was on it once. The girl from You, like the last season of You, was on it. But like they just bring a bunch of comedians on and they do random miscellaneous useless tasks. And it's a funny show. Emma and I really love it. I don't know if it's actually that popular overseas. But Emma and I really get a kick out of it. So shout out Steve Pemberton, who's a member. And the whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, where the fuck do I know this guy from? And it's this random Taskmaster show that I watch that I'm a big fan of. So
the only other guy I recognize in this is the guy who plays like their manager, who is Charles Manson in the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's
nice. Interesting. From. I did not realize that. Good shit. Okay.
Yeah. But I think the best way to summarize Better Man is it is absolutely, in terms of the story beats, a very stereotypical biopic that is quirky and elevated to the fact that they use a monkey. The music is very okay. And I think it was, there's a lot of sauce going on. The musical numbers are pretty awesome to watch. So it's like an elevated biopic that I still don't think crosses the threshold into anything amazing, but it's definitely good.
What'd you give it? Did you say?
Haven't logged that or Wolfman yet, because those are late at night, even though I did stay up till the US Open, but I was too lazy. But Better Man, it's going to be 4-star for me. I like it a lot. I think it's a good movie. I almost wished I didn't like it, because it's kind of, like you said, more funnier.
Yeah, it would have been funnier.
But, okay, whatever. UK, it's a good movie.
Yeah, they made this stupid monkey movie that sucks. It would have been very funny, but no, it's actually really, really good. I recommend it to people to go see it. I've like told a couple coworkers, like, go watch this thing if you like musical biopics, even though if you don't know anything about them. But yeah, I'm at the same point, a 77 out of 100, like 4 out of 5 stars. It's a bummer that it's flopping this bad for sure. And you know, full blame to myself for not seeing it till now, but what are you gonna do, right? You know, but we had other stuff going on. Shout out Rock DJ. Good, really good set like that. I've watched that clip a couple times. I'm a big fan of it.
It's posted every other day on Twitter.
It does get posted every other day. And
3 minutes of the clip
film has a weird thing with it too.
Well, they're UK based, so I think they pump up the UK a little more, like Wallace and Gromit, Better Man.
Yeah,
or they're paid. You know, if you want to go conspiracy mode.
I think one thing about this movie that they needed is more of a known actor somewhere in it. Like I mentioned, I just shout out Steve Pemberton. I don't think anyone knows who that is. I don't think anyone knows who Damon Harriman is unless they're a big fan of like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood necessarily. Yeah. Get a bigger name actor to play some role. Whoever, maybe throw Gary Oldman in here. Gary Oldman loves his UK production, I feel like. Just throw a Gary Oldman in here at some point or another. I think they needed that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his manager, they have the person who managed the boy band, they have a troubled relationship, and he mentions during the movie when he like calls him, he's like, your name's now Robbie Williams. And he's like, well, he acknowledges it's like the best decision his manager ever did for him, but he's like, I hated the name Robbie, but it was a good move because if you're, especially the type of music he makes, if you're saying you're going to listen to some Robbie Williams, way different vibe than saying like, I'm going to go to the Robert Williams concert. Like that just doesn't work. So Robbie, it was a good move, even though you don't like that name, your manager was cooking there. Mm-hmm. But that's all we have to really say. I put George in here. I don't know where, if he's back, but I think the next two movies are him included.
Yeah. So the next couple movies we'll talk, Wolfman, which like Tyler mentioned, he just saw last night's, and then Presence. I'm gonna step out for y'all to discuss those. Enjoy.
Hi, George.
Hey.
What do you want to start with? Wolfman or Presence?
Before we start with movies, I didn't listen to that. I just ran over. Now that you've seen the Robbie Williams biopic, does he make good music?
Well,
will you ever listen to Robbie Williams music?
No, and we mentioned that in the review. I said the difference between this and Kneecap is like Kneecap makes me want to listen to music, whereas the songs in this are like good for the songs in the movie, where it's like I'll listen to the soundtrack maybe, but I'm never going to like explore more Robbie Williams music.
Okay.
Wolfman or Presence? Where do you want to start?
I feel like Wolfman will be the quicker one. You want to start with that one?
Wolfman will be the quicker one. So the synopsis here is directed by Lee Winnell, who the only other 3 films actually, sorry. First was first was Insidious Chapter 3. Then it was Upgrade from 2018 and The Invisible Man from 2020. Now taking on a Wolfman adaptation, a classic Universal horror genre type of film. Synopsis: protect your own. With his marriage fraying, Blake persuades his wife Charlotte to take a break from the city and visit his remote childhood home in rural Oregon. As they arrive at the farmhouse in the dead of night, they're attacked by an unseen animal and barricade themselves inside the home as the creature prowls the perimeter. But as the night stretches on, Blake begins to behave strangely, transforming into something unrecognizable. I'll quickly give my thoughts just because I think you'll probably have more to say, even though I think you're right in what you alluded to in the fact that I don't think this will be the longest review. So it's so it starts with when he's a kid, then it jumps 30 years in the future. But other than that, it's basically like a within one day type of film where everything transpires like the night of them going to this cabin in Oregon. And you Christopher Abbott and Julia Garner, both actors that I really, really like. I usually love them in everything. But this is one that's kind of been on my radar as a movie that I kind of figured I would not like going into it. Just the trailers never gave me anything to get me too excited about. And, it's just a classic formula, Blumhouse, January. It's your own fault if you go into it and you get disappointed. So I wasn't disappointed in this. I didn't like the movie, but I had 0 expectations. So my 1.5-star review is
damn F.
I mean, that's pretty in line. You're kind of hot. Like you had a 3 is like
I guess I'm a little higher than most. Yeah, fair.
But 1.5 is like, in terms of all my other mutuals, that's kind of like par for the course.
Yeah.
But also I knew going in, I was a hater for this movie going into it. I posted a TikTok tier list of what tiers I put movies on. And I put Wolfman in a movie that I can't be bothered to see. So I did see it, I guess. So I could be bothered, but everyone kind of hated on that. And it's just, and again, it just never fails. Blumhouse, January, it's going to be ass. It's just going to be ass. Littered with, it was a good movie because I watched this after Better Man. So it was late. And this is, again, I keep saying it was late, but I ended up not even going to bed last night anyways. So I guess it's like early in my night of adventures, but normal night, it would have been late. But good movie to watch late at night because there's so many like random jump scares that just like wake you up, like, or keep you alive. Cause there's just so many moments where it's just like a camera, like just focused on something in the woods, or after the car accident that happens early on, there's the camera stationary, and boom, something flashes by, and it's the loudest freaking sound design you ever heard. And I'm like, all right, that's good. There's like caffeine every 5 minutes, just giving me a quick little jump scare to keep me awake. But again, we've talked about it before. It's never something I really care for in horror movies, just like little cheap jump scares like that. So this movie's kind of littered with them. And then again, I kind of alluded to this with the Better Man review, where it's like I never really know this podcast, like how much people listening to this are like involved in like film Twitter, or like know stuff that, because I feel like the transformation aspect of this movie, or maybe lack thereof, has been talked about a lot on Twitter. But it's like, if you listen to this, I don't know how much that's like talked about. So that was kind of disappointing. The design of the Wolfman I thought was really disappointing. The poster features a full moon. You never even get any references to the full moon or any like Wolfman lore in the movie. And it's just, I haven't seen any of the well, to be fair, really any like the Universal horror movies from like the early 1900s, mid 1900s. So I really need to get on those, because I think I would really like them. I know Seth's a big fan of them. So I don't really have like any attachment to Wolfman or werewolf films, but this is just, I don't know, maybe 1.5 is too harsh, but I think it's dragged down by the fact that I had such low expectations going into it, and it was kind of going into this with a little bit of hater energy maybe. But I don't know. And also Upgrade's a movie a lot of people love that I thought was okay. The Invisible Man, I've been meaning to rewatch. I still want to rewatch it. I did really like it when it came out. So I think if I had to guess, that'll be my highest Lee Winnell film, just because I didn't love Upgrade as much as most people, and Wolfman I really didn't like. Haven't seen Insidious Chapter 3. Probably never will, to be honest. But yeah, this movie just didn't do it for me. I thought the horror in it, I thought it was very cheap and uninteresting. Christopher Abbott and Julia Garner are at their like most okay. I think pretty much everything I've seen both of them in otherwise is like better from them. In terms of Lee Winnell's direction, I think there's just a lot more sauce on display in Upgrade, but I guess maybe it deserves like a 2-star, because there is moments, like especially with like the car accident, there's like some cool like camera panning, like long pans, and a lot of cool camera work. So like there is still sauce here on display. I didn't see who the cinematographer is, Stefan Duccio, who's done all the other Lee Winnell films. That's really anything I really recognize him from. I don't see anything else that's jumped out at me here, but there's sauce on display. I just think the writing is pretty bland and uninteresting. The story itself, not anything to remember come February or talk about come February. Again, it's just another Night Swim. It's another Megan. Except Megan, I actually think has a lot, like actually low-key a decent amount of cultural impact, because I think a lot of people saw Megan. But Wolfman, lame, man. And again, I'm not spoiling, I guess, too much, but the transformation was just bummer. And crazy, because this was on Seth's most anticipated films of the year last year. You know, we did that where it actually didn't end up coming out, but I guess people were excited for this. Like there's some hype behind it for some reason, but yeah, I'll leave it there. Just a movie that I didn't like, but I don't know. It's a 2.5 on average on Letterboxd, which is it's very skewed left beyond that. So yeah. I don't think anyone's really like it. Like I said, you're like the highest person in the world on this, at 3-star.
Yeah, I walked out of this and I was like, damn, like that was actually like a decent time. And I think I enjoy this more than most for maybe 2 reasons. One, my expectations, like you said, same thing with you. They were just so low. I expected to walk out of this theater and being like, half-star, shitty January Blumhouse release. And as I was watching, I ended up like, I really like found myself attracted to like these horror beats. There was some really like gross shit that like really affected me and like hurt my stomach. So I was like, at the very least, this movie like made me feel something, like literally anything, whether it was just disgust or just like a pit in my stomach. Like it did a good job at making me feel shit. And also too, and I don't mean to sound ignorant being the host of a movie podcast, I don't fucking care for Wolfman lore at all. Don't care. It never has intrigued me. It has never been something I've cared to explore in film. I don't find like the concept of a full moon and a man turning into a wolf generally like intriguing. Now I will say I have not seen too many Wolfman movies. Like I haven't seen the original from 41. So maybe just my Wolfman bag is not that deep. But like its lack of Wolfman lore, the lack of a full moon, I didn't care. Like that was never a problem for me. So when you strip all that down, when you take away like its lack of like Wolfman lore and full moon nonsense. I was left with something gross that I really like I don't want to say took pleasure in, but like took effect in, I guess. Like it really like hurt me. Like the scene where he like takes his bandage off and starts like scratching his arm and eating it, I almost threw up. Like I genuinely felt like I was throwing up. And like just little bits like that. Like I think this movie was so like awesomely disgusting. And that's just kind of what I was looking for. Like with the trailers, all I was looking for was like a Wolfman, try stay alive movie. Give me something gross, give me something diabolical, and I'll probably walk out at least decently pleased. And that's kind of exactly what I got. I agree with Christopher Abbott, or with your sentiment on Christopher Abbott and Julia Garner. I think they're so fine. Like I really do. I think Christopher Abbott's good. I think Julia Garner's good. I don't think either of them are putting on insane performances. Obviously, everyone expected like a big transformation scene, like something like to the extent of like an American Werewolf. I kind of like that, like his transformation was like gradual, like it was like a slow transform. Like you saw like different things happen at different points in the movie. Like his hair gets longer, his knuckles get longer, his teeth get more fucked up, his skin gets more wrinkly and more oily. Like everything happens very gradually. And I kind of like that because I like the fact that this movie showed that Christopher Abbott's character, as he's transitioning into the Wolfman, he's still like there and he's still trying to protect his wife and his daughter. He's still trying to like figure out how to avoid this transformation. Like, I don't know. It made for like a very like interesting and like oddly emotional experience when he's like, he like is basically the Wolfman and he's still fighting another Wolfman to protect his family. I was like, this is a very interesting like dynamic. I didn't expect them to go down this route. I didn't know they were going to be, I don't know if we're in spoiler territory or if this was like in the trailer, but
We'll throw
I didn't
it
know.
on. We'll throw it
Yeah,
on.
throw on the
Spoilers
spoiler
for
tag.
Wolfman.
I didn't know there were going to be 2 Wolfmen in this movie, or technically 3 if you consider the one at the beginning of the movie. But yeah, I like that. Like his transformation was kind of gradual, and like as he's transforming, he's still trying to fight it, and he's still trying to like save his humanity, and still trying to protect his family, and like that kind of affected me. I don't know why, but again, maybe it's just because I'm ignorant to like Wolfman lore, so I don't know how this story was supposed to go. Like even at the end of the movie, and now we're really spoiling it. So truly, if you haven't seen the movie, skip ahead. But even at the end of the movie, where Julia Garner and the daughter are in like the bunker, and the husband, Christopher Abbott, walks up the stairs, and like he wants her to shoot him, but like she can't shoot her husband. So like he goes to attack her to force her hand to shoot the gun. And I'm like, that's a sad fucking scene. Like he's still there. He's still in there and he's trying to fight it. And like, I don't know, that it's a very interesting approach. And I don't think I expected this movie to kind of go down that road. And I think I respected it. And again, I haven't seen a lot of Wolfman movies, so maybe this is typical storytelling in Wolfman lore. But like, I appreciated that. I appreciate that this movie had like a very subtle and very like thin layer of humanity. It wasn't just man turns into Wolfman and starts attacking people. It was, man's fighting to not turn into Wolfman, to protect his family from other Wolfman, trying to save his humanity, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know. It just wasn't as bad as I expected. Like, I had a good time with this movie. Like, genuinely, like the gross shit got reactions out of me. The emotional bits, like, kind of got reactions out of me, especially that final scene where she shoots him. Like, that got a reaction out of me. I do not fuck with movies where a character grabs the blade of a knife and drags their hand. I don't like that. I wish we could stop doing that. Which is crazy because I love cheese graters in horror movies or action movies. Like, I wish every movie had a cheese grater scene. But like grabbing the blade of a knife and dragging your hand, dude, that shit is so fucking gross. But again, like it got a reaction out of me. Like it made me feel shit. I do agree with you. There were an overabundance of jump scares, which I'm typically not high on. But I also do think this movie balances it out well with a lot of like awesome gross moments, a lot of like cool like sneaking around moments, I guess. Like the scene where like there's the dark hallway of the house, and then the Wolfman is just crouched behind his daughter. Like that shit was crazy. Or even the scene where he walks upstairs because he's hearing this massive bang. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is he hearing? And he goes upstairs and it's just a spider, but like his senses are so amplified that the spider walking sounds like banging on a door. But like the whole lead up to finding out it was a spider, I was like, damn, like this is kind of creepy. Or even when they're outside on top of like that tarp thing and the other Wolfman is like below them, sneaking around, and then randomly jumps up and starts like scratching at the tarp. I was like, all right, there are decent like horror sequences in this movie to like at least warrant a positive rating. So yeah, I'm not surprised this movie is getting kind of shit on, especially if you're like into Wolfman lore and you're comparing it to the older movies, which I'm not. I hate to say it as the host of a movie podcast, but my Wolfman bag is just not deep. I think the only other Wolfman movie I've seen is the one with oh my God, Anthony Hopkins from like 2003 maybe, or whatever that fucking movie came out. And again, I haven't even seen that movie in a long time. So it's been a while since I had any Wolfman exposure. So I think that's a big reason why I also like this movie, because I kind of went in with like no narrative expectations, no horror expectations. I didn't know what to expect. And I just came out of it more positive. But yeah, definitely a movie like I'm not going to be defending this movie with my life. I could understand all of your like negative reviews, and like some of them I even agree with. Like I don't disagree. I think there could be things that could have been done better. But yeah, I had a good time. It was a nice, and again, I saw this movie was in IMAX for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, I saw it in like the big IMAX theater, like the massive one. Yeah, so I didn't know that, and I was like, where the fuck are we going? Because we were walking up, and I was like, no way is this movie in IMAX. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, the only other movie that really would be in IMAX right now is Den of Thieves, and that's playing in Dolby.
Well,
so,
what about The Brutalist? I feel like that would be selling out IMAX still.
The Brutalist was selling out, and there were screenings. And I saw The Brutalist like 3 days before Wolfman, so I don't know why The Brutalist wasn't playing that night. But yeah, good movie. I gave it a 3-star. I can very much see myself like reviewing all of my 2025 ratings in like 6 months and being like, oh, Wolfman I haven't thought about since I watched it. Maybe I'll bump it down to a 2.5. Or maybe I'll watch it when it comes out on digital and be like, you know what? It's a pretty good Wolfman movie. But 3 stars just feels like the right rating right now.
Yeah, you convinced me in this discussion. I'm going to give it a 2 because I haven't wrote my Better Man or Wolfman review up yet. Because the thing is, it was just so uneven because I really liked the first act when they were going to Oregon. Well, I really didn't like the beginning, like flashback. I thought that was like super corny.
Yeah.
Like way too many just long shots down a barrel scope where you just know like they're going to pan and something's going to jump out at you. So the first 10 minutes I didn't care for, but then like the drive to the Oregon, I liked it. I thought I was expecting to lean more into that campiness too, because it was like a very silly opening where this guy, they pull up and they're like, oh, I'm looking for my dad's house. He's like, yeah, it's not here. The road's blocked off. He's like, I'll show you where it is though, and gets in the car and drives with them for like a long ass time. So I'm like, what was his angle? Like, how was he getting home? Like, what was his like?
Yeah.
I thought it would be like, oh, like your dad's house is like just like next door. I'll just go there and walk through the woods back to my. Like, I don't know what his plan was or why no one thought it was suspicious after they're in the car for like 15 minutes with them. But then it was just like there's some funny moments there too when like they're talking about how like crazy and wild it is out here in the woods. Then Julie Garner's like, yeah, I think we're cut out for it. And he's like, I don't think you are. I'm like, damn, this is kind of hilarious. It's just like campy, stupid, but like in a fun way where it's like what I want from like a horror movie like this. But then that energy didn't really stay. I agree with you. The emotion at the end, I thought Christopher Abbott, I think he's just a great actor. So he pulled it off well, but I didn't really get the emotion enough throughout the movie to like make me feel the emotion that they're trying to get with the payoff at the end. So it was just a little bit uneven. And I think the big reason why I think most people are disappointed with this is maybe not just the Wolfman aspect. I think it might be more Lee Winnell with Upgrade and The Invisible Man. A lot of people, that's like 4-star movies for them. So they're kind of like, this dude's on a streak right now. He's cooking with horror movies. He clearly knows how to make it happen. Christopher Abbott and Julia Garner are like darlings of people who, they're not household names. Julia Garner is probably more of a household name than Abbott just because of Ozark. But I think it's basically a director who's on a hot streak with 2 solid actors doing a adaptation of something that's a historical Hollywood figment of cinema. And I think all those things were a recipe for something that should be good. But again, Blumhouse January, it's similar to like what Owen was saying about Presence, where in his review, where he's saying, which will lead us into that eventually, where it's like when a studio releases a movie in January, it kind of shows that they really don't have really much faith in the film. And the fact that Seth drafted it in the 2024 most anticipated draft, again, I don't know much of this background for Wolfman, but I'd assume that means it was supposed to come out last year, and then they pushed it, I'd imagine, because obviously he got it from somewhere that it was supposed to come out last year. But yeah, it's okay, whatever. It's 2-star, but again, I wasn't expecting much. I'm lower on Lee Winnell than most people, but you got me with some of the end. The end was solid, especially because Christopher Abbott's acting was phenomenal. I think again, if this had 2 bad actors, this movie would have been just awful. Because I think they held together what was kind of a pretty uneven script, but yeah.
That's it.
What's your favorite werewolf movie of all time? Have you seen American Werewolf in London?
Yeah,
I have not seen that.
London, very good. What other werewolf movies have I watched?
Twilight ones, Werewolf by Night.
Oh, Werewolf by
Van
Night.
Helsing.
Oh, Van Helsing's good. I don't feel like I'm missing a big one right now. Hold on. What am I thinking of? Let me go to Letterboxd and search werewolf and see what lists come up.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the Wolfman, like you talked about, the Anthony Hopkins, Benicio del Toro, Emily Blunt, kind of a crazy cast for that.
Yeah.
That went pretty under the radar. That movie also is not well received.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of werewolf
Underworld movies.
Oh, Ginger Snaps is really good. I just watched that recently.
I haven't seen American Werewolf in London, so by default, I think Werewolf by Night might be my number one. But if we're not counting that as a movie, then Twilight, which has been kind of Green Goblin masking me lately, wanting to rewatch the Twilight series. Well, rewatch is incorrect. I don't think I've ever seen Eclipse or Breaking Down Part 1 and 2, to be fair. But I've seen the first 2, so maybe it's time to give Twilight a watch.
Damn, dude, there are so many werewolf movies. This list I
know. I found this list of 130.
Yeah, this one has 100 and fucking how many is on this one? 168? Like no way.
Yeah.
Oh, The Wolf of Snow Hollow I watched. That's fine.
That's a real movie.
Dude, there's some funny looking vampire movies. This one's called Dog Soldiers. I'm definitely adding that to my. Oh, Neil Marshall, the guy that did The Descent. I'm definitely watching this. Holy fuck.
We're getting George Carmi werewolf pilled for 2025.
It's game over. It's game over. There's so many werewolf movies.
Hotel Transylvania.
Can we technically consider like Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban a
low key
werewolf movie?
Technically, it's not. I don't see it on his list, and I think it's
because then that's the best.
List maker David. But yeah, that's werewolf, or not werewolf, the Wolfman. Presence now, the latest from Steven Soderbergh. Neon release. In this house, there's a presence. A family becomes convinced they are not alone after moving into their new home in the suburbs. It is a movie where the entire film is from the perspective of a ghost or a spirit that is looking over or haunting the house. So the camera is just kind of like this free-flowing entity throughout the house or the entire movie. So it's an experimental film from that aspect. I watched this, what date? 2 weeks ago. A little over 2 weeks ago. I got a screener, which was nice. But now it's finally out in theaters. People are starting to see it. Well, it initially released at Sundance last year. But now it's in theaters, starring Lucy Liu, Chris Sullivan, Kalina Lang, Eddie Madej, and then Julia Fox very briefly. But yeah, I spoke on it briefly a couple weeks ago when I was doing what have we been watching. But we'll give you the floor now to give your thoughts on Presence.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I really didn't like this movie. I'm clearly it's so I'm higher than Wolfman than everyone. I'm lower on everyone than Presence. I'm fucking backwards right now. I don't know what's going on. I think my biggest problem with Presence is one, everyone, and I'm not. You mentioned it also in your Letterboxd review, but I'm not calling you out specifically because I heard this sentiment a lot. Everyone's comparing this movie to a ghost story, and I think that set me up for failure entirely because a ghost story is top 20 for me. That's one of my favorite movies ever. That is one of my favorite looks at grief and trauma and loss. I think it does it in such a aesthetically beautiful way with so many beautiful performances and just incredibly emotional bits. So immediately, once I started hearing early reviews of people being like, very much like David Lowery's A Ghost Story, I was like, okay, this Presence has climbed my list of anticipated movies. Like, I'm very excited for it because I love A Ghost Story. And I don't know, it's just like I can understand the comparisons, but it was such a, I think they're a little odd now because they are two very aesthetically different movies, two very different looks at grief and isolation. Obviously, one of them is in first person POV, one of them is not. A Ghost Story is also such an interesting look at time, and that's obviously not something going on in Presence. So I think that set me up for failure. And also I don't know. Maybe you feel the same, but like I was talking to a friend about this the other day after I watched Presence. She was a little higher on it than I was, but she wanted to hear my thoughts. And I was telling her, I was like, I think as I get older, movies that like touch on like grief and trauma and isolation, like they feel more personal to me. So I think I look for like different things that come out of these movies. Like I look for movies like A Ghost Story, like something that's really going to affect me, something that's really going to make me like think about my life and my place in the universe and make me think about like shitty times in my life. And while I was watching Presence, I was like, this movie's not eliciting any emotion. Like none of its beats were like working. It didn't come off as profound as I think Steven Soderbergh thinks this movie is. It just kind of like, it moves along in a very like corny way. And I just like, my theater was like laughing through this movie. And like, so was I. Like I was chuckling, and it sucks because like they were important and heavy moments that were so watered down by just this movie's very shallow look at what it's trying to say. And also terrible dialogue with some of the worst acting I've ever seen. No one in this movie, besides Lucy Liu in the final 10 seconds of this movie, knew how to act. No one. And it really like removed me because especially that blonde kid, he was a big part of this movie and he is terrible. He is so bad. So like the entire like big moment at the end, I'm not going to spoil it until we get to spoilers, but like the entire big moment at the end, as it was unfolding, a part of me was like, damn, this is big, this is heavy. But a part of me was also like chuckling my way through it because of just how corny the dialogue was, how bad this kid was at acting. And it just made everything feel so like, I don't know. I'm not going to say disrespectful because it's not disrespectful, but it made it feel so weightless. And the more I watch these movies that touch on like grief and all of these like heavy themes that just feel very personal to me, the more I think I just become more critical of them. And like as Presence moved along, it didn't unfold in a way that I expected it to. I didn't love like, I don't know. I don't know what to expect because like I avoided the trailers before this movie. I avoided a lot. I really didn't like, I went in blind. All I knew was like it was Steven Soderbergh's Presence from the POV of the ghost. I was like, okay, this is an interesting concept. And yeah, I don't know. It felt very shallow. It felt very elementary. It felt very corny. It kind of felt like David Lowery just had like a checklist of like emotional beats he wanted to run down, and he just kind of like hit them as the movie went along. You know, you have so many like not annoying, but so many just like so many stereotypes of like a movie like this. Like the mom is very like removed, you know, you have a dad trying to like protect his daughter and keep his family together. You have the teenage son who's going through that teenage period of hating his sister and hating his everything. Like, I don't know. It was just like everything was just very cliche. Everything was very stereotypical in a movie like this. Like conceptually, it's cool. Like when you hear, you know, POV from the ghost, you're like, oh, that's interesting. Like I've never seen that. Like I can't wait to watch that. And I think that aspect of the movie was cool. Again, not cool, but like hard hitting for the final 10 seconds of this movie. And other than that, it was just kind of like, I didn't even feel like I was like the ghost. Like the POV didn't feel like it was the POV of a ghost. It just felt like it was a camera moving awkwardly. So I don't know. I walked out of this just less than satisfied, less than intrigued. This movie is part ghost story, part familial drama, and I cared for none of it. Again, a big part of that is just because of how corny I think it was, how corny I think the dialogue and the acting was, how shallow I think this movie is when it's looking at like these very like hard-hitting personal topics. So I ended up on a 2. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but again, I think I'm very critical when it comes to movies that, touch on things like these because, they've just become very much like just a big part of my life. And they're movies that like feel very personal. And I don't like to feel like I'm cheated when I'm watching a movie. And this movie feels like David Lowery, not David, Jesus Christ. This movie feels like Steven Soderbergh just ran down a checklist and just try to like hit these various emotional beats without really caring about its subject matter. Which again, maybe that's a bit harsh, but that is how I felt when I left this movie. So I ended up on a 2-star. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I could tell you this is a movie I'll be rewatching, but I don't think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely a lot different than you on my rating. I like this movie. Didn't love the movie, but I liked it quite a bit more. I gave it a 3.5. Since I got to watch it on a screener, I know it did release in Sundance last year. None of my mutuals have reviewed it or logged it, so I really had no idea what people's perceptions were on this movie. All I knew going into it was the trailers, which I thought were pretty scary trailers from the movies before going into, like when they're playing before movies I was going to see. And they used like the pull quote that says like the most terrifying movie you'll see all year. So another classic like BS neon marketing trying to oversell their movies to get people to go out and see it, which I think really does this movie as a massive disservice. But again, everyone's talking about that in the reviews now about like how like this movie's not really a horror, like calling it super scary is just the wrong way to go about this. It's much more like a familial drama. But the thing is, when I watched it, I had no clue about that from people. So it's kind of like a experience for me as I'm watching it where I'm like kind of like on edge. And then as it goes on, I'm like, oh, this is just like not a horror whatsoever. So it's kind of an interesting experience for me, just like going in kind of blind, I guess, and having to realize that it's not actually a scary movie. And again, like I tried to emphasize this 2 weeks ago, like it's not, everyone interprets horror differently, but when people say like, oh, the movie wasn't that scary, usually it's like a scary horror movie that they're like, it didn't scare me that much. But like, I truly mean like, this is not like a scary movie whatsoever. It's not like there's scares in it that just I'm tougher than you and didn't scare me. Like, no, it's just not at all. So I get what they're trying to go for with the marketing in terms of like, it scares you in an unconventional way of just like this very sadistic family dynamics of a mother who's just completely detached from her family, a father just fighting like hell to try and keep his family together. And then this the brother and sister who, there's like quarreling brothers and sisters have, but they're like at a very, like the level of these two screw each other over, mess with each other, sabotage each other, like very deeply disturbing. And then you have like relationship horrors in this as well about just with like awful men. So there's like a lot of stuff in here that like I get what they're trying to go for. Whoever wrote that review, like saying like scary movie because there's like the things that play are sinister, but there's nothing in this movie that's gonna scare you. So Neon, I think a massive disservice to the movie by marketing like that, because I think people are. The layman's going to go into this movie and watch it because it's a scary horror movie in January. Neon just made Long Legs. They made Cuckoo last year. So like they know how to make horror movies that are scary that I like. So I'm going to go out and see their latest like super scary movie. And I think it's just going to set up and the trailer also just like the song used in it just tries to set this up for complete failure. So I think that's doing a massive disservice. I didn't hate on the acting as much as you did. I think Lucy Liu was great. I think Chris Sullivan, I really liked him in this as well. I will agree, West Mulholland, which is just like unreal name, which is a blonde kid. West Mulholland. Yeah, he's ass. He's not good. And there's a huge moments in the movie that fully are on his shoulders and he doesn't really deliver in them, which I think does a disservice to what they're trying to go for. Because I think the girl, what's her name? Kalina Lang. I think she does exactly what she needs to perfectly, but then when like she has to play off, and I think her brother's fine too. It's just when like the thing is West Mulholland is such a pivotal point in this movie, and I think everything with him just falls flat a bit because he is so terrible. But I really like Chris Sullivan as the father trying to keep this family together. It's written by David Kopp, who you may know from a lot of stuff. Spider-Man 2002, Jurassic Park, Mission Impossible, Panic Room, War of the Worlds, Carlito's Way, Snake Eyes. So like one of the kind of goats for writing films, and he's kind of experimenting here in the way he wrote this film, as well as obviously Steven Soderbergh experimenting, which I'm always a big advocate for. I think this was, we saw it last year with In a Violent Nature, a horror film that tried to do something different with their way of a perspective of showing the film. That one didn't work out for me, mainly because it didn't commit to the bit. Presence commits to the bit. It stays in that POV the whole time. So I think it's, as an experiment of form from a director, successful in the fact that they tried to do something different and they at least stuck with it the whole time. Whereas In a Violent Nature built up like in the POV of a killer, super slow cinema. And then you watch it, you're like, you guys were a little too scared, a little too wussy to actually commit to it fully. So I commend him for committing to it, because I think it is such an interesting movie that very similar to Robert Zemeckis' Here from last year, where that's a movie about all these different generations and people that pass through homes and live there, and the stories that come and go and the stories that stick and stay. And that's similar here with the ghosts of these movies that inhabit this house. Of stuff happens in this house, and this house there's a presence, and that stays there. That trauma stays there. The trauma never leaves. And that really gets hammered home in the final moments that are probably like the only shocking moments of the film. There's where I guess there might be an opportunity for a scare, like a quick little jump scare, but I think that really hits the generational trauma pretty hard there. And again, I didn't love the movie. I really liked it, though. It worked for me in a lot of ways. Was not at all the movie I was expecting it to. I think it'd be interesting to have like an alternate parallel universe where I went and saw it this week for the first time after already hearing people say it's not a horror movie, and see how it would have hit me differently. Because it really was such an interesting experience going through this movie and just like slowly getting less and less on edge, but slowly being more invested into like how dramatic this family drama is and what's actually at play here. But yeah, fascinating movie. I appreciate people who experiment. I want to see more people take risks and do stuff like this. It's not always going to land for me or land for you or land for anyone listening, but I'm never really disappointed when I go out and see a movie that tries to do something different, even if it doesn't work for me. Cause I'm like, hey, at least they're trying something here. But yeah, I guess the meditation on trauma and grief works for me more than it did for you. I think this movie right now is sitting at like a 3 on Letterboxd. I think it's a movie that the more people in the general public see it, I think the worse it'll do for the movie. Because again, I just don't think they marketed this movie well. I think a lot of people were disappointed, namely because the dialogue isn't the most typical dialogue. Pretty much all the actors in this movie, other than Lucy Liu and Chris Sullivan, they're like the main two parents, but all the kids in this movie are like barely in anything. They have very thin filmographies. The brother, it's his only film he's been in, so very inexperienced actors here. So it's just there's a lot here that I think people might dislike. And there's a very shocking moment towards the end, again, that I think a lot of people might point out and be like, that was really stupid and dumb. But for me, it worked. I thought it had my jaw on the floor. But yeah, again, I think similar to Zemeckis here. I got a little more ghost story comparisons than you did, of course, but I liked it. Gave it 3.5 stars. Really interested. It's a movie I'm really liking reading people's reviews about, because people are pulling a lot of different things from this. A lot of people are having very emotional experiences with it as well. So interesting movie. Cool that I experimented. Clearly me and George are on different sides of the coin here, kind of the opposite of what we were on Wolfman. So let us know. Damn, we're like 2 hours in this podcast. We haven't done this yet. Let us know what your thoughts on Presence was, and what your if you liked it, if you didn't like it. Because yeah, and also I didn't get the luxury of seeing it in a theater, so I wonder how that would have hit me differently. But yeah, that's all I have to say on Presence.
Yeah, that's all I have. I don't know if we really necessarily need to go into spoilers, but I will say that last shot of this is a spoiler. I will spoil this.
Okay,
so
putting the spoiler tag on for a couple seconds.
Skip forward if you haven't seen Presence. That final shot when she looks in the mirror and sees her son, that and her scream, that's holding this movie up from like a 1.5 to a 2 for me. That really did like put like a massive pit in my stomach. But yeah, like everything leading up to that point, like the blonde kid like drugging the brother. I don't know if I like that. Like it was revealed that he killed the other 2 girls. Like I kind of like that was like just like an ambiguous thing going on in like the daughter's life, and she was just trying to deal with it while no one, like her mom and her brother, didn't really care for it. It was a very interesting turn, and then like you said, he was just so bad. And like that whole scene was unfolding, like he's lying on top of her, he's putting the plastic wrap above her mouth and nose, and I'm like, this is a big scene, this is a heavy scene, and it's just being so weighed down by this guy not being able to act to save his life. So yeah, I don't know. My thoughts are so like just negative leaning, which sucks because like I want to be in this positive discourse. I am reading all your reviews, and I'm like, I'm understanding why you guys, what everyone else is pulling from this movie that I'm not. But I don't know. I'm just the more I think about this movie, the more I just find it like really odd.
Well, since we are in spoilers, the ending was a proper jaw on the floor moment for me because, like, obviously he like wakes up from the drugging because the spirit wakes him up. So basically, this West Mulholland fella is like he's drugged and raped and killed several women at this school, and now he's going to do the same to the daughter in this movie. And the way he kind of meets her and gets in with her is from her brother. So then her parents go out of town. He goes over to hang out with the brother, gets him drunk, drugs him, gets him out of the equation so then he can go do what he needs to do to his sister. But then like the spirit wakes him up and you're like, oh, sweet. So he's going to go save the day. And the way he saves the day is not what you'd all expect because this dude's drugged out of his mind and just kind of completely blinded by just like an underlying subconscious love for his family and sister to save her. He doesn't even take the moment to use his drugged out brain to even consider ways to resolve the situation other than like, this dude is doing the most horrible thing possible. I'm going to eliminate him as quickly and possibly as I can. And obviously it kills both of them. But yeah, I was like, holy shit, did not expect that to happen. Also saw Julia Fox in the Criterion Closet and they were promoting it for this movie. I saw it 2 weeks ago. I completely forgot she was in the movie. And then then I was like, Julia Fox in Presence? Like, did I just completely zone out? When was she in this movie? So she's like
2 minutes, 2 minute real estate agent. Hilarious bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll try and text Cam. We're back.
We're back. We're fucking back. We are back. We are back.
Time to talk Oscars nomination.
What's the next big release that comes out? Like, what's the next release that like we're going to talk about on this pod?
Well, Brutalist we'll talk next week, and then
probably
talk maybe Sing Sing as well because that's coming back to theaters.
Right.
Or it's back in theaters now, but I think those are like the two big ones, big Oscar movies that we should review on the pod. So when we get all four of us next week, we'll definitely do Brutalist and Sing Sing.
I got the Oscars pulled up.
Oh, you do.
Tyler's got the Oscars pulled up.
Oh, we had the same one. I was gonna start at the bottom too, but this is alphabetical order, so it's kind of hard to go in like a least hype to most hype way.
Is it me or you? Who's sharing?
It's you now.
Okay. All right. I'm starting at the bottom, but yeah, you're not wrong. It's should we bottom or top?
You're already at the bottom. Let's just start at the bottom.
All right, we're bottoms. All right. Oscar nominations this week. Mediocre film award show gets soloed by the ReelTok Podcast, but let's go through it. Fly through a couple of these, talk in depth about some. Original screenplay, Nora, The Brutalist, Real Pain, September 5th, and The Substance. I forget what won the ReelTok award for original screenplay.
Challengers.
Yes.
Challengers. Does this work still okay?
Yeah.
Like I half screened it. Okay. Challengers deserves a nom, but
yes. September 5 here's the weird one. Everything else feels expected. I think everyone thought I'm Still Here was going to make its way into this lineup after winning the Golden Globe.
There you go.
Yeah. What I never still understand is the difference between original and adapted, because last year we obviously had the whole Barbie thing where they tried to go original, but it's based on IP, so moved to adapted. But like September 5, like it's based on an event that happened in real life. So I'm like, how is that original screenplay if it's like you're writing about history? Like it's like you wrote a movie about like Abraham Lincoln as president, but no one like it's just an event that happens. I'm confused.
Let's look at the 2013 Oscars when Lincoln was nominated.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's probably been books written about Lincoln, but
yeah,
have there been books written about September 5? I'm sure. I'm sure there's one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know, but that's the only thing I'm confused about, which is just like a whole nothing thing. But
yeah, doesn't entirely matter, but it's worth wondering for sure. while George looks that up, we'll move on to
it was nominated under adapted screenplay. Lincoln.
Adapted.
Yeah.
I bet Lincoln itself is a book. I'm guessing like September 5, there have been books about it, but it doesn't. It's weird. You're not wrong though. Writing, adapted screenplay, A Complete Unknown, which got a ton of love. Conclave, Amelia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing. I think Sing Sing, from the sound of it, is one of the most snubbed at the ReelTok Award, but that's just it's just
bad release strategy.
Bad release.
Bad release. I'm sorry, just wasn't shown.
Release your fucking movies.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to talk Amelia Perez just yet, but it's on here a lot, so it's expected, right? Nothing too crazy there. Where's Dune? You fucks.
Yeah. Real.
Yeah. Visual effects got Alien Romulus, which people are mad online about because they use
I'm happy about that.
They use like CGI to bring that person back, but it's fine. Better Man, Dune Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked. Fine category there. Furiosa deserves something, but fine category there.
Zero noms for Furiosa is just
crazy.
Disgusting. It's so nuts. Especially going from like Fury Road that got 10 noms to a movie that most people think is better.
Yeah. Arguably better or just as good at the very least.
It's crazy. And then you got movies like, and I'm not shitting on A Complete Unknown. I liked A Complete Unknown like a decent amount, but like I did not expect that.
In this category, Catching Strays.
Sorry, I was looking at sound, the next category.
Fine. Catching Strays.
Fuck that movie.
You have to do 2 categories at a time due to the zoom of the website. But yeah, sound next, A Complete Unknown. I haven't seen A Complete Unknown, so I'm not going to comment on it, but I feel like, sound for a music movie deserves some recognition, but maybe I'm wrong. Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez again, Wicked, The Wild Robot. Again,
such an interesting category.
Very weak category. Very weak.
I would love to have a conversation with these voters and just like, what are they seeing in movies that we are not? I actually saw a pretty interesting video recently that says basically every single year the Academy adds 5 members, the 4 acting winners and the director, whoever won. So like last year, like Nolan became an Academy member, Killian became an Academy member, Emma was already an Academy member. But what the video I watched basically was saying is it's becoming a system where a majority of the voters are actors, which is why you see a lot of these movies getting nominated. They're like acting heavy movies. Like A Complete Unknown is not a great movie, but it is a great acted movie. Same with like, I don't even know where's the Best Picture nominees.
Wicked.
Like Wicked, great acted movie, because of that like heavy balance towards actors in the Academy. That's what's like skewing these like nominee. I don't know about skewing, but that's what's
actors also don't watch that many movies, so it's bullshit.
That's true.
Put me in the Academy.
Yeah, I mean, after that news broke that a lot of Academy voters said they didn't even vote, they didn't even watch The Brutalist. That's when like
nuts.
Why do we still take this seriously?
I'm not an Academy voter, but I'm assuming they all have
to
get The Brutalist. Like I'm sure they can get sent something to see The Brutalist.
They have to,
but yeah, they have to. It's crazy. Live action short film. I am not going to run through I don't think anyone's seen any of these on the pod.
No.
Sorry. Bad podcast, but we're doing our best. Production design, The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, Wicked. Shout out Nosferatu. Again, a movie I didn't love, but had great production design. Deserves these kind of awards.
Yeah, I think those are all great nominees. No issues with this category.
Yep. Okay. Sorry. We'll come back to Best Picture. We'll talk that. Which is stupid because like the B, but they're all B. I don't know. Music, original song, 2, right? From Amelia Perez. Yeah. El Mal and Mi Camino. And The Journey, Like a Bird from Sing Sing, Never Too Late. Just crazy to nominate 2 songs from a movie that people don't even like. Like the general audience doesn't like this movie. And I saw Tyler tweet it, like put in, if you have one, pick the better one and put in a different movie song. Like you don't need 2 from the same movie.
Yeah. It's like we get it. The glaze is out of control. Make it a little less obvious. Putting 2 original songs is just like, come on.
Who is Netflix
not
sleeping
even
with
good?
To get this many noms?
Yeah.
It is the second most nominated movie of all time.
I know. It's insane.
That's insane.
You know,
Insane,
you could have
but-
Miley Cyrus on here for original song. You could have had some Better Man in here for original song.
Yep.
So ridiculous category. Shout out Diane Warren. This is her 16th Oscar
Yes,
nomination. Never won.
0 wins.
And it is 1,
Wow.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Not going
7,
to it.
8 years in a row she's been nominated for Best Original Song. So it's just
Wow.
like it's like the Oscars
her.
inside joke, a running gag to if she releases an original song, which she will every year, she's getting nominated.
Just getting on.
But they
She's
all
like the
suck. Like
Bills
just
of
not
this
good
era
music.
right now.
Yeah.
Just
They
not,
need
not
to-
getting the win.
Hot take, scrap this category entirely.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is,
Right.
so that they're obviously the news
like
that they're not
the Big Bang.
performing these at the Oscars this year, which I get it. I'm fine with because none of these I need to hear. Elton John would have been cool to hear from, but I'm just worried about the slippery slope aspect of it. I'm worried that like a lot of people are like, hell yeah, I don't want to hear Amelia Perez. And I'm like, wouldn't be surprised if you're never going to hear original song performances ever again. Just going to be
Yep.
honest.
Yeah.
So
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm with you. Music original score. Obviously, the two snubs. We knew Dune Part 2 wasn't going to be there. Challengers not here, but they have The Brutalist, Conclave, Amelia Perez, Wicked, The Wild Robot. The big question, Wicked right here.
How?
It's not
Isn't it just a
original.
soundtrack?
It's based on
Yeah.
Also that. How is
True.
Dune allowed? I fully understand, or not allowed. I fully understand Wicked is a musical and not like a movie, but it's not original. The soundtrack,
It's-
I
I don't.
didn't even consider that aspect. I just thought it was like I don't
That too.
get the score, but no, you're absolutely right. I'm like, yeah, because Doom Part 2 is using
Get
too
an
much of the original
adapted
Doom.
score.
Yeah, get an adapted score screen. Yeah, I love it.
Just silly. Yeah, it's the big thing. Also, it's not a
terrible,
score; it's
man.
a soundtrack. So what does that do?
Brutalist
They-
clears all these by a mile.
Were any of
like
the
the Wild
none of
Robot.
these were even
It's
were
cool.
any of these ReelTok nominees? The Wild Robot, I think, was a ReelTok nominee, right? Or am I
Not
bugging
for
out?
original
No.
score.
Not for original
Yeah.
score.
Score was Dune, Challengers,
Furiosa, we nominated Tom
Furiosa.
Hulkenberg, Queer.
all good, all great scores. Shout out Trent
That's
Reznor
crazy.
and
Dude, like
Atticus
even
Ross.
I'm pissed off.
Shout out
Challengers
Tom
isn't
Fraser.
here. Like, what are you guys doing? Like,
People are just being dumb, man. People are just
fuck,
being
man.
dumb.
Such a stupid award show. We got to stop like glorifying this award show. It's so bad. It's so fucking bad. Like, why do we pay attention? Why do we pay attention? Amelia Perez has 13 nominations.
11.
13.
No, it's
How many?
13.
Oh, it's 13.
It's 13.
Yeah, it's the second highest nominated movie of all time.
Oh,
It's
God.
one nomination away from number one. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's tied for Oppenheimer.
Oh my god,
man.
bro.
John
And
M.
then
Chu snubbed.
Yeah.
fuck. This is so
Um,
dumb. This is so stupid.
Makeup and hairstyling, A Different Man, Amelia Perez, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked. The Wicked one I like, A Different Man.
Yeah.
I don't mind. Nosferatu I like.
I think a different man should take, and Substance is good makeup too. It's funny, like Riley's reaction to this, where she's like Ariana Grande's makeup looked awful in Wicked, so that's her reaction to this nomination.
Interesting. Fair. International feature film. We got I'm Still Here from Brazil, The Girl with the Needle from Denmark, Amelia Perez from France, The Seed of the Sacred Fig from Germany, Flo from Latvia. We talked at Kneecap was one of our favorites from last year. Bummer that it didn't get nominated.
You know what's making me like bug out? I'm having like
Also, sorry, continue.
no, you go.
No, you go. You were talking.
I was gonna say, like, I can weirdly see Amelia Perez taking like the Parasite track to Best Picture, where they win international feature and everyone's like, okay, that's it. Then they win screenplay and everyone's like, oh shit. Then they win director, and then maybe, you know, now with all of this like AI talk, there's no clear favorite between The Brutalist and Amelia Perez. Maybe it pulls out Best Picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
maybe.
think international film's a clear two movie race between I'm Still Here and Amelia Perez, both getting many nominations outside of this. I'm Still Here is nominated for Best Picture and Best Actress, though, so that could be like a dark horse. Like, I know Amelia Perez, everyone's expecting a sweep, but there could be some I'm Still Here. You know, if they win this category, could be interesting. Who knows?
Yep. Film editing, Wicked, Amelia Perez, Conclave, The Brutalist, and Nora. One thing I'll say, ReelTok Awards definitely didn't have like super broad nominations. We liked 4 movies a lot. We obviously liked more. We had a lot. Neither does the fucking Oscars.
Neither does the
The
Oscars.
Oscars is nominating Wicked and Amelia Perez,
Yeah.
Conclave, The Brutalist, and Nora for everything.
There's
So
like
fuck
11
off with
feature
that.
films nominated across the entire award show.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, smart you bring that up, because this is actually, I believe 2009 was the year. This is the least amount of movies nominated at an Oscar ceremony since 2009, maybe
Oh, yeah,
even
Thank
longer.
Thank
But
you,
it's
Tyler.
been a long time since they've had this few movies nominated.
People, nominating, and I hope everyone who nominates these awards is listening to this podcast. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves. You guys should not do
You're
this going forward.
an Academy member. Please come on the pod if you're listening.
Yeah, I need to talk to you. I need to know what you saw in Amelia Perez.
I just want to talk.
Did someone pay you? Do we have to? Are you the Golden Globes now, where you could just pay for an award?
I think so. There's no way Netflix has this much, but I don't get it. Like general audience does not like this movie. My parents watched this movie. They loved. I love them dearly. They liked Dear Santa. They hated Amelia Perez. So it's not making any sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Documentary, short film, and documentary feature film. I'm sure we'll watch a couple of these by the time it rolls through.
I'll try and watch them all. Only thing I'll say is No Other Land released that movie. It has no distribution in America. It's about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Oh wow!
It's based on the movie odds. It's the odds-on favorite to win.
Release
documentary, but release the movie. You're not slick Oscars. We know you have
the only one I saw. It was playing at New York Film Festival.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Very good.
Directing, Honora, Sean Baker, Brady Colbert for The Brutalist, James Mangold for A Complete Unknown, Jacques Ardouillard for Amelia Perez, and then Carolee Fergay for The Substance. Sorry.
No Denis, but people kind of expected no Denis. The more surprise here is
I knew he wasn't getting a nod.
Right. No Edward Berger is a surprise here for Conclave since it did get so well. Other spots, James Mangold sticking out.
They love The Complete Unknown, man. They
love it. And like every critique I've seen of A Complete Unknown is like great acting, awful directing. So
very silly for him to get nominated, but he's just a big Hollywood guy. It's like they got a script that no one wants. It's like Mangold's got it. So I think
I still love James Mangold. I still love James Mangold. I'll forever love him for both the Ford v Ferrari and Logan. So shout out you, James Mangold. Costume designer, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Gladiator 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. Shout out Nosferatu. Go win it. Go win. Go be a dual ReelTok and Oscar winner.
Bottom three nominees are great there. You should have Dune and Furiosa, but like Conclave, what's the costume design? It's just Pope and Cardinal outfits.
That's the costume.
I don't think not much creativity has to go in there.
To be fair, though, they nailed it. They nailed it with the Pope.
They nailed it. They went to
Cardinal design.
Spirit Catholic Ween and got themselves some robes. But I don't really know what's so impressive there. And then Complete Unknown. Yeah, fine, whatever.
Cinematography, The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, thank God. Amelia Perez, Maria, and Nosferatu.
You say thank God, but it's going to lose to Amelia Perez. It's going to make
for sure. But it's just I don't know. Thank God it got nominated. I don't understand how you watch that movie and don't think the cinematography is great. So thank God.
Dune Part 1. I saw this tweet. This tweet pissed me off. Dune Part 1 won more Oscars than Dune Part 2 was nominated for.
That's insane, man. It's just I'm on the side of Dune Part 2's better. I think everyone can agree they're neck and neck at the very least. So it's just, I don't know. It's
shout out Ed Lockman for Maria, probably my favorite cinematography out of the bunch of those five. So very spirited choice to nominate him.
Good. Animated short film and animated feature. Well, animated short film again. I'm sure we'll get to specifically. I'm sure Tyler will. But animated feature film, Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot. Simple.
What was the one different? Because that's the exact same as ours, except Memoir of a Snail.
Orion and the Dark and Transformers 1.
Yeah. Orion in the Dark. We had
because we had 6.
We had 6.
Yeah,
Memoir of a Snail is probably better than Orion in the Dark, but I haven't seen it yet. So.
Orion in the Dark stinks, but I haven't seen Memoir of a Snail. Sorry. But Transformers 1 just way deserves to be on this list. I don't get it. Shout out Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, though. Actress in a supporting role, Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Monica Barbero, A Complete Unknown. Shout out all of our ReelTok award-winning actors and actresses. None of them nominated for Oscars. Normally, we're pretty in line with hey, the best performance of the year was Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer or Austin Butler for Elvis, or we get a supporting actress. None of our winners even nominated. That's crazy. I mean, that's just
Just shows how stupid the Academy is, dude.
Yeah, it's insane.
I'm happy Monica Barbaro is in this though.
Same.
I don't think she was anything special in A Complete Unknown. I'm just happy she's here because like supporting acting actress category is just so like I don't want to say it's a nothing category this year. There's just not a lot of standouts.
Hey, Ariana Grande, we're pulling for.
I'm saying
I'm
of
pulling
like
for Ariana.
yeah, I'm saying of the ones that were Ariana is great and she should win. And we haven't talked about this. We'll talk about it next week when we talk about The Brutalist.
Mhm.
Dude, Felicity Jones is so bad in that movie.
Really?
And I know
don't
it's
like
a hot.
either.
Yeah, I know that might be a hot take, but we'll talk about it next week. I was stunned to see that she got into that supporting actress lineup.
Shout out Felicity Jones from Parks and Rec, though. Right?
Fair.
I'm thinking of the right person, right? I'm not going crazy.
No,
You're
you're
talking
not.
about Rashida Jones.
Yeah, you're
I am
Rashida
talking about
Jones.
Rashida Jones.
Shout out Felicity Jones from Rogue One.
From Rogue One.
Rogue
yes,
One.
Thank you. I'm talking Rashida Jones. Thank you. Yeah. Hopefully I get to
My
see
actress
the
ball
Brutalist
knowledge is
and-
so deep. I've corrected both of you now. And
There you go. Incredible. Yeah, I'm hoping I get to see The Brutalist in Boston. Wider release there. Way, way wider. Actress in a leading role, Cynthia Erivo, Wicked. Hell yeah. Carla Sofia Garcon, Amelia Perez, Mikey Madison, Honora, Demi Moore, The Substance, and Fernanda Torres, I'm Still Here. Like Tyler said, I'm Still Here. Could be some sort of dark horse, or it may just go home empty-handed. Which
I know that
is
the
entirely
odds right now is between Demi Moore and Mikey Madison. It's like a 2-person race, but this is probably the only category I can genuinely see any of these 5 winning it, and I wouldn't be that shocked when they read the name out loud. So pretty wide open race, I'd say.
Yeah,
I think Demi Moore takes it. I think she gave a really great speech to the Golden Globes, and everyone was like, "Oh, this would be a fantastic like Oscars winner."
Yeah.
Cynthia
I'm pulling
Erivo
for
being
her.
here, and I love Cynthia Erivo, but like no Angelina Jolie, like that was crazy. Like, how
Yeah.
are you not in this
Agreed.
lineup? That's insane. She was like 3rd on the odds makers before the nominations came out.
Mm-hmm.
shout out Anya Taylor-Joy as well as Lily Rose Depp for not getting a nom here, but they deserved it. And then Cynthia Erivo really was great in Wicked, so I'm glad she got a nod there. Actor in a supporting role, we have Yuri Borisov, Nora, Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain, Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce, The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong in The Apprentice. The Apprentice got shown a little bit more love than I expected. You know, we've seen a lot of things of it being kind of cut out from award season, but it got 2 acting role nominations. So I'm impressed by that, and I think it'd be funny to see either Jeremy Strong or Sebastian Stan win. I don't think either will, but I think it'd be funny.
Our thoughts on this category don't mean shit because Kieran Culkin's name is already engraved on that Oscar. But dude, why is Yura Borisov here? Like, I truly don't understand that one.
I saw a tweet that said, if you think he was a nothing performance, you don't know ball. So George, you don't know ball.
I guess I don't know ball. I just don't. Even Ed Norton, like, what are we doing? Why are
Edward
we
Norton's silly. Yura Borisov, I think's good, fine, but Edward Norton, I think, is just like aggressively okay. Guy Pearce, phenomenal.
Adored.
Jeremy Strong, phenomenal. Kieran Culkin, really, really great. Those are the 3.
I think this year is without a doubt, my least ball knowledge year of Oscars. Like I don't have the knowledge on the Oscars this year. At least the movies.
It's
I
such
just haven't seen
nonsense. Like this.
There is still time.
Oh yeah,
I'm TV Glow.
Actor in a leading role, Adrian Brody, The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet, A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo, Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes, Conclave, and Sebastian Stan, The Apprentice. If I had to guess, I think this is a 2-person race, or am I wrong to say?
No, you're right. It's a 2-person race.
Timmy
I think a lot of people have Timothy as the odds favorite right now, ever since the news that Brody used like AI on his voice for the Hungarian accent.
Good. Shout out Timmy to get the youngest actor.
If he wins, listen. I personally still think Adrian Brody will win.
Shout out Coleman Domingo, back-to-back years best actor nominee. Huge. Even though last year is for a terrible movie. Sing Sing, I'm sure it's great. I'm going to see it this in a few days.
Which one was last year?
Rustin,
right. Yeah.
All right. Best Picture: Honora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. Just a bummer category. I feel like
It's just like it's just nothing exciting, man. Like
Dune Part 2 is fun, sure. It's not going to win. It's not going to win. Simply
it's
not.
like we're rooting for either a really shitty Netflix original, a 3.5-hour movie that moves like a snail, or a Nora.
And I'm certain, like, there are people. Tyler, you really like The Brutalist, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I'm certain there are people that are like, "Hey, Dune Part 2 wasn't that great. Stop saying it should have been nominated for all these things." Okay, Furiosa, also same for Furiosa. There are so many more movies that could have been nominated for like something here and there over a lot of these movies that, frankly, they're just like they don't. Give out to the general audience. Like Amelia Perez, it's on Netflix. I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys. They just aren't out to the general audience. The Brutalist is super not out to the general audience until like next week, I think it is. I don't know. That's the frustrating part is we're nominating these movies that just can't be watched by like real people in the real world. And you get mad that your award show is dying. Maybe nominate movies that get real people to go see them. I don't know. Just my thought. Just my thought.
Just do better next year. Yeah. Just do like better.
When Tyler, you give your thoughts real quick while I pull up the 2024 nominee.
Yeah, I've seen 8 of them. I haven't seen Nickel Boys. Excited to see that one. Then I haven't seen I'm Still Here, so Nickel Boys is starting to release to more theaters. I don't really know if I'm Still Here has, but I'm sure it will. All movies that are nominated for Best Picture come back to theaters. So excited to see those two, but yeah, it's not nearly the great collection that last year was.
Yeah. And so last year, Oppenheimer, American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Past Lives, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest. I love like half of these movies. Like I think they're really, really fantastic. And I think that's a general like takeaway for most people. I would have liked to see some others, but you can say, okay, the ones they did nominate that I have seen are really good. It's just, and then like Maestro is weird. But yeah, just a bummer. I don't know. I don't know, guys. Bummer award show year. And I don't think we're alone in saying that at all. I think it's just a bummer Oscar year. But
it'll be fascinating if Amelia Perez actually does pull off the win.
Yeah, and it's looking like it very well could.
Like it's going to.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
So fucking crazy. 13 nominations. You know what other movies have gotten 13 nominations? La La Land. The Return of the King. Fuck this.
And scene.
Yeah, I mean there are more.
There's a lot of
plenty
movies,
more, but I think you were just naming off.
Yeah, I was just looking for like the dramatic, like fuck the Oscars moment, you know.
Yeah, I am short on time, so I'm just gonna run through some movie news real quick. I hope that's all right with y'all.
Plow through it.
Yeah. So like I said, I broke it down into some categories of real movies, slop, Star Wars, DCU, and MCU. And we'll start with the MCU. Daredevil Born Again trailer came out. I think it was last week before the award show. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I liked it. Good trailer. I'm excited for Daredevil to be back. It's funny, like taking a lot of the clips and being like, you can tell they're in the MCU now, or taking a lot of the screen grabs. You can tell they're there because it's gray and doesn't look as good. I think it'll still be good. But we'll see. I'm very excited for it though. Returning everyone, Foggy, Karen, Daredevil, Wilson Fisk, returning everyone. So very exciting. The White Tiger actor did pass away, so rest in peace to him. Like shout out him for his hard work on the show, and I'm hoping to really like his character as a good like send off for him. But Benedict Cumberbatch mentioned that he will not appear in Avengers Doomsday, which is interesting. But he will have a major role in Avengers Secret Wars, so kind of taking the Hawkeye route of not appearing in your first big movie and then coming back for the second. And then also said that they are kind of working on Doctor Strange 3. We'll see what comes of it. I don't know. I'm excited for Doomsday, obviously, but just way more excited for other things. I think it's interesting that maybe Doomsday has a smaller team and then Secret Wars has a bigger team up. But we'll see what they end up actually doing. Until like, I think both Captain America and Thunderbolts have to be pretty good for my joy to return. If they both suck, but then Fantastic Four is great. I'm just assuming Fantastic Four is great. I could be wrong. But if they both suck and then Fantastic Four is really great, I still won't be fully back in the MCU, but we'll see.
I think you should table your expectations for Captain America and especially Thunderbolts.
No, I think Captain America might be bad. That's why I'm saying I think if they're both good, I'll be back in.
Okay.
But Captain America has gone through a bajillion reshoots, and that's rarely good. New look at your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, the animated series coming. You got like Charlie Cox is in it. You get Doc Ock, a bunch of different characters. I don't think it's like connected to the MCU. It's kind of a weird one. It was supposed to be, but now it's not. But it also has the act like Benedict Cumberbatch is playing Doctor Strange. Charlie Cox is playing Daredevil. It's a weird one. Like I worry they don't know what they're doing with it. So we'll see. People
are really hating on the look of it.
Yeah, people don't like the animation. I think the animation looks fine.
No,
yeah,
people complain about animation. So every time a new animated project comes out, people are so quick to shit on it.
Yeah. So we'll see when it comes out. Supergirl, moving into DCU. Sorry, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow has begun filming. We got the logo reveal. I believe she was confirmed for Superman. Probably just in a small cameo. I'm excited for it. I love Millie Alcock in House of the Dragon, so I'm excited for it. I think she'll be good. But yeah, and this is the one Jason Momoa was cast as Lobo for, so we'll see him show up. Ulrich Thompson has been cast as Sinestro in the Lantern series. I don't fully know Ulrich Thompson, like his filmography. I don't know him super well. Don't know really any of his movies. I'm excited for this show just because it's described as like a true detective-esque show. So if it's really good, that's awesome. If it's not, we'll see. But as of now, my excitement remains high for the Lantern series. Moving on to Star Wars. George Nolfi is the new writer for the Star Wars movie focused on Rey, set 15 years after the Rise of Skywalker. I believe he did Ocean's 12 as well as one of the Bourne movies. Those are good movies.
Star Wars is a different beast.
I would like to see something within the last 20 years or 10 years.
I thought you were going to say I thought you were going to say I would like to see something in the slop universe.
Yeah, that too. I would like
Ocean's 12 is slop.
Ocean's
True.
12 is slop.
It is a sequel. Yeah.
Yeah, Ocean's 11 banger though. Ryan Gosling talks to star in Sean Levy's Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
not a real sentence.
That's the greatest. That's the greatest sentence I've ever seen.
That's a crazy ad lib.
I saw that on Twitter and I was like, "This is sick!" Like that's the single greatest sentence. That is a better sentence than Christopher Nolan is adapting the Odyssey. Ryan Gosling in talks to star in Sean Levy.
If they get Ryan Gosling in a Star Wars movie, he's officially cooked, and it's an officially cooked universe of just getting the biggest actor to make money. Because there's no reason Ryan Gosling.
I might sacrifice my own life to make sure this doesn't happen.
This is an ad lib. This is Disney directors, like board of directors, stood in a room and threw darts at a name board or something. Like crazy line.
Listen, everyone keeps talking shit on Ryan Gosling's late career, but he was still nominated for an Oscar last year. He's still
shout out Barbie, good film.
Shout out Barbie, but fuck the Oscars, they're stupid.
Yeah,
bro's about to be Kylo Ken.
That's you nailed it, man. You nailed that one, Tyler. I don't know if you've been working on that, but you nailed it.
Did you just think about that?
It's a sleep deprived noggin is creating some things in my mind.
I love it. Moving on to general slop. Invincible. We got a ton of castings this week. Simu Liu, Zolo Mariduena, Zima, Kate Mara, Aaron Paul, Jonathan Banks, all cast as various roles. This just made me want to get back into reading the Invincible comics because I was like, I remember all these folk. But I never finished book 2, so I'll get back into that.
That was a long time ago when you started those comics, right?
Yeah, I know. I finished the first and then got 10 pages in the second, put it down, and it never moved after that.
That was me with Dune Messiah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Me with the Odyssey.
Yeah.
That's me with work.
You read that one excerpt.
That's me with work emails, bro. I'll read the subject and just hang it up.
Yeah,
that's it.
I'm cooked. There it is. We also got the release dates for Invincible. So the first 3 episodes release on February 6th, so very close, and then it's weekly after that. No break in between. Caitlin Dever cast in the Godzilla X Kong sequel. Sure. Sterling K. Brown turned down a season-long arc on The Boys, saying he didn't want to go to Canada for however long. I like him in Invincible. I like him in. He's one of the like good parts in This Is Us, where Emma watches that show religiously. I like him there. So shout out Sterling K. Brown. Ocean's 14 is in the works, possibly with David Leitch set to direct, and George Clooney and Brad Pitt set to return. They just like hanging out. I think they're just pals that want to hang out, say we'll make some money out of it, and yeah.
How do you make an Ocean's 14 and not bring back Soderbergh? Like how do you not do that?
I know.
Like, you can't. Come on.
Just I don't get it. He probably didn't want to take the slop bag, but they will, no doubt about that.
For sure.
Moving on to some real movies. New trailer for Mickey 17 came out this week. Hell yeah. It's the second trailer, so and it's also based off a book. Kind of know what's going on with it, but just looks awesome. Looks fun.
It's so sick, so sick.
Exciting.
Easily my most anticipated of the year.
What George called slop earlier, the Michael Jackson biopic had to scrap its third act. Third act focused on the 1993 investigation into Jordan Chandler's claim that MJ sexually abused him, and the Jackson estate, I guess, forgot that they signed a deal never to discuss that. So I don't know how you forget that. But
how do you forget that?
Yeah.
How do you?
Insane. So they have to basically redo the entire third act.
You write the movie, you shoot the movie, you edit it in post, and at no point during that do you realize, oh, we're not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah, crazy.
That's gonna be
so that'll get delayed. I'm almost certain of it. So whoever picked that for the box office, you just screwed yourself. Robert Eggers' next film, Werewolf, is set to be coming out next Christmas. Everyone's saying he saw Wolfman and said, I can do better. So Werewolf.
George, I can't believe we talked about werewolf movies for like 10 minutes and we just
didn't bring this up. I completely forgot about it until just now, actually.
It's going to be mid.
Next movie. It's going to be mid. Wow.
Robert Pete Gers.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited for it. Still, even after Nosferatu, not loving it, but I'm excited for it. Suits LA. Don't know if any of y'all watch Suits. I never did. This doesn't look very good.
Why are you putting this in the rundown?
I was going to say, why are you putting this in the rundown?
Well, mostly because Stephen Amell played Arrow on the CW. So I like him because that's my favorite show ever.
The news no one cares about you should have put in here was the whole like that new show that got picked up, FBI CIA, just an all-time title for a show.
That's
awesome. It's hilarious.
A lot of letters.
Can't wait for the spin-off of FBI, CIA, NSA.
Yeah.
One of my friends I was hanging out with yesterday was like, he's a big TV show guy. He's a big movie guy, but he's like a big TV show guy. Like he has serialized, cares about it way more. Yeah, big guy. He was telling me about like all these current TV shows he's watching, and he's like, I'm watching Chicago PD. He's like, I'm like, what the? I'm like, in what world are you watching Chicago PD? And he's like, there's this other like hospital show I'm watching, and I'm like, we're not still doing the hospital stuff, are we? It's 2025.
Those are made for AI. Like those shows are made for Siri and Cortana to watch and enjoy. Those aren't made for people to consume.
Yeah,
he's watching everything.
And then lastly, the Opus trailer stars John Malkovich and Ayo Edebiri. I don't know. It looks fine. I don't know entirely what it's about. It's like an A24
people
horror
hated
thriller.
on it for sure.
It's exciting to see Ayo in something outside of the Bear and Inside Out 2, but yeah, trailer didn't do much for me, but she's a great actress, so exciting enough.
That is news. Sorry to fly through that. Thank you to our executive producers, Stefan Johnson, AJ Beasley, Devin Willett, and Alex Kephart. We can't do this without you. We entirely appreciate it. Thank you to all of our patrons. As I mentioned at the start of this episode, Thursday, drafting actors to play us in a biopic. Friday, fun letterboxd game that will be revealed on the Patreon. So if you're a Patreon member, go check that out. Next week, we'll be adding movies to the ReelTok collection. We'll have all 4 back. We've said we'll do that for about a year now, so we'll see if we actually did. The Brutalist, and then we'll try to see Sing Sing as well. The Brutalist has a wide release this week, so we should be able to get to it. And then the merch store, of course, is live. Go check it out. If you are a Patreon member, you have a 20% off code that you can use. We appreciate all the support this last week. Appreciate all the support on the ReelTok Awards. It was super fun to do. Thank you all. Really appreciate it. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.
Peace.